You know what the biggest thing that gets in the way of adaptation on the water? Frustration.
Frustration for sure. I was thinking ego, but I think you nailed it. Frustration, because it's this like distortion that allows you, that keeps you from being able to make that connection of something else. So yeah,
that's where I like you said, the whole eat a sandwich thing. You just gotta and I am such this happens to me more often than I want to admit, but frustration is the number one thing that gets in the way of my adaptation.
Before we jump back into this week's show, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, we'd love to have you become a bigger part of the Jigs and Bigs community. Join our Jig Heads on Patreon for exclusive live recordings, bonus content, and behind-the-scenes access to the show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow Jigs and Bigs on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and wherever you spend your time scrolling. Looking to support the show? Grab some merch. Check out our online tournament trail and visit jigsandbigs.com, where you'll also find all of our trusted partner links to save you money on gear that we actually use and believe in. Have a question, a hot take, or just a fishing story? Call or text us on the Jigs and Bigs hotline at 413-324-8519. We might just feature you on an upcoming episode. And if you enjoy the show, the biggest favor you can do for us is to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever it is that you listen. It really helps more anglers discover Jigs and Bigs. Now, let's get back to the show.
One more cast, one more shot. Oh. Before the sun, before the crowd, we earn every fish, we earn it loud. No excuses, no backing down. When the bite gets tough, we stand our ground. Jigs and Bigs, hooks in, hold on, send it. First light all day, no quit. Jigs and Bigs. Who wants one more? We do. Who wants the giant? We do. Who's making memories? We do. Who's making excuses? Not you. Jigs and Bigs. One more cast. Jigs and Bigs. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. How we doing, Jig Heads? Listeners. Joe, how are you, Joe?
I'm awesome, man.
Good.
Love the new opening, dude. I love it so much.
I think it's pretty badass. I really, really like it. I was like, man, I think it's about time. Like, we should put something together. There is a little sting version. Like, I'm going to play the whole one for probably like the next like dozen episodes. But then there's a much shorter version of it. And I might even use it as some bump in music here and there. So it could be kind of cool. We have one hell of a show for you guys today. We've got an awesome Just the Tip this week. We're talking about adaptability. It's something that we've definitely talked about on this show, but given the live well questions and some of the inner back and forth communication with you guys via DMs and everything, it's one of these points that's sort of been a sticking point for Jigs and Bigs really from the beginning. So what a good opportunity to just lay into that right now as we're kicking off this new format, playing around with some things around here. For those longtime Jigs and Bigs listeners, you might hear some new shit, but good stuff. I mean, I certainly can't complain, man. It has been a wild week. How have you been, Joe, overall?
Good, man. It was a busy week. Nothing crazy, a little bit of fishy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, man, nothing. I mean, well, getting ready for tomorrow, last minute.
Tomorrow's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so dude, I'm bringing so much awesome shit to that.
For those of you that don't know what it is we're talking about right here, so tomorrow is August the 1st, and we've been hyped up about August 1st since January, when we had a little bit of an inkling that this was coming up. There is an amazing event happening over at Tackle Box Brewing, and it's called the Swimbait Makers Farmers Market, and it is pretty freaking badass. It kind of like scratches that itch of like an expo or just like a fishy event that normally would happen like maybe in the winter when we're not necessarily out on the water. But this is an awesome opportunity to, network with the local fishing community and also buy some amazing stuff. There are Boston Anglers is there. I'm going to go through the whole list, Joe, but the AVF is going to be there. Go ahead, Joe. Talk a little bit about, hype up some of your stuff. I'll get the list of who we've got.
Oh yeah, so unfortunately, it's going to be done by the time this gets out. But for at least for the jig heads listening now that are in the area, man, I'm bringing a bunch of cinch swim baits. I'm bringing throwback swim baits, Defiant. I'm bringing, oh gosh, Mike Buka. I'm bringing Depths. I'm bringing, what else? Raid Japan. So many different ones.
That's so freaking awesome, man.
I'm bringing a bunch of Chad Shads, Clutch Ecos, so many. So much stuff.
What I'm hearing is I'm going to be spending some money.
For sure.
Here's the thing. We've got Elude Bait Company, Hobbyist Fishing is going to be there, so I'll get to finally meet Xander. I think he's going to have a booth for arrows, which is kind of sweet because I've been wanting to get my hands on some of that stuff, but this is the perfect situation because now I get to see it. And make some decisions there. We've got Bad News Bass, Boston Anglers, I mentioned them. We've got Tom's Customs, Wavy Baits, Peak Baits, Real Prey. We've got Bass Espionage. Sherpa is going to be there. We've got Fishy AF will be in the house. Delaware Swim Baits, Lanciati, 610 Baits, Fish Everything, Loose Cannon. What is this? CB Fields. We've got Piz. Piz is going to be there. We've got Swimbait Universe. Klondike Custom Creations will be there. All kinds of stuff. You guys don't want to miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're one of our jig heads, listen to us as we record this, then go ahead and join us. It would be awesome to have you guys there. But regardless, I'm showing up with like an entourage. Like, no bullshit. I'm showing up with a camera crew, Joe.
Hell yeah, dude. That's fun because so ain't I.
Oh, all right. Okay. I am. Dean, he's probably going to be popping in here at some point. Dean is going to join me out there. He's going to meet up with me. And he's like, I just kind of want to is it cool if I follow you around and just record a bunch of stuff? And so I'm going to be mic'd up. I'll be walking around and, talking with people and stuff. So this is going to be very, very cool. So if you're not able to make it, you'll at least be able to live vicariously that way. I have no idea how this is going to go. I almost stopped and grabbed some beer because my wife and kids are up in Maine right now. They're having a little girls getaway at the beach, and I'm solo. It's me and the dog. So I've been fishing and doing my thing, and I've been eating like a rabid raccoon in a dumpster. I have just been my meal. Today, I think the only thing I ate was some jerky. No, that's a lie. I killed my other half of the steak and cheese I ordered last night. I have just been, dude, I've been pushing it on the water as much as humanly possible.
Yep.
So I was I almost got some beer for tonight, and I was like, no. We're going to a brewery tomorrow. I'm like, there's going to be so many empty calories tomorrow that I'm going to hold back. So I'm like, plus I'm interested to know, I've always wanted to try the Tackle Box Brewing beers, and I wonder if because the event is indoors. I wonder if I get a flight just to try them, and then I'll bring a 4-pack home or a growler or something.
Sure. It's one of those things too where it's it's actually supposed to be, and it is going to be, whether it's inside, whatever, it's going to be an amazing event. But then you look at the weather, you're like, oh my God, it would have been so sick if we were able to have it outside. Oh, yeah. But it's such a gamble in New England because you never know.
Especially this year. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. With the rain we had this week. Jesus.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts.
Yeah, but I saw a couple people ask. So it's at the Tackle Box Brewery in Marlborough, Mass. So doors open at noon. Well, at noon until basically they kick us out is what Matt told me. I'm kidless. I just got the wife and I got Dan Griffin tagging along to help out, and it's gonna be insane. So any of you guys on here in the area, fucking get up there. Come say what's up. I'm excited. Dean's going. That's cool, man. Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, he's good. He's good, folks, man. It's awesome. And that's the thing. That there's going to be some really good looking footage of AFV. You know it, right?
Yep. So it's funny. I'll actually shoot you this text right now. I practiced the setup a little while ago.
I was curious how you were gonna, because you know what, when you I just got a text from Dean with his camera rig. It's freaking sick. It's freaking sick. Oh, dude, that looks great.
Yep.
That looks good, right? Great. Yeah, it looks awesome, man. Freaking beautiful.
So it was I didn't realize I got the 8-foot like banner and table thing. So I had to, I all my tables were only 6 foot. So I had to run around looking for a 8-foot table
an 8-footer
at one point today. Found one. Good old Wally World. Dude.
There you go.
Can't go wrong.
Cannot go wrong. Not at all. How was your week as far as like fishy shit? Because you got on them better than I
got
did.
I got on them. So I went out. I brought Meg's been great. She's like, let's go but she's really wanted to get out on the boat. You know, she doesn't even like really fish. She just goes out. She just loves being on the boat. So we went out local. And you know, I didn't have high hopes because you know how it is. And it was hot, like whatever.
Oh yeah.
Boy, did I get on them. I went to a spot, a spot I love. I love to fish. It has some deep structure.
Yep.
I've talked about this spot on the show before. It's kind of it holds a bajillion crappie, but there's always like a couple good bass in there with them.
Oh yeah.
So I started off. I was like, Emma's like, I want to catch fish. So I just threw like a small little swim bait out there for her and just let her catch a couple crappie. And then, dude, I screwing around, and I throw a wacky out there just in and around the structure.
Yep.
And ended up hooking up with my scale was dead, so I don't know, but it was a big post spawn female. I think she came in at 19 inches.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That I submitted. Skinny as hell. I mean, I'm sure you saw the picture. Probably still running close to around 4 pounds or so. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay. And then I usually maybe grab one, maybe two like decent ones off that spot.
Yep.
It's just like, dude, it started like one after the other after that. And I ended up getting another so I was like, all right. I got a wacky rig hook hung up on this on some of the structure down there. So like, all right, let me try to something that's, not going to get hung up. So threw in a creature bait. It was a Fish or Die Sherman, just with a small 1/8 ounce, tungsten bullet weight, just to kind of get into that structure and then just kind of pull it out, slowly pull it out, let it drop and whatever. Dude, within, I think it was the first or second cast, I get a thump and, I set it and this one's an 18-incher. Like, dude, it was at the point I was like, is this the same friggin' fish? But, it obviously wasn't. And so I got that one in. And then, and then after I got those two, I just started screwing around. I was like throwing Damikis and stuff. I would hook into a bunch of crappie. And then I think I got like a couple like 15-inch bass. It was just, and it was just like, I let that spot kind of chill for a while. I went and threw a frog around. Nothing. I couldn't get any blow ups on the frogs. Nothing top water. Actually, I for the first time I threw my Defiant baby bird crawler.
Oh,
which I've never thrown it before. I threw it. Dude, that thing is sick.
Yeah,
it's got such cool action. Bringing a bunch of them to sell tomorrow, just so for you guys on here. But nothing on those, and I ended up going back to that spot, and then we kind of started to get hungry. We're like, it's getting late. Like, we're like, let's go grab some food. It's too late to cook. Stopped at the clam box.
There you go.
Bobby knows the clam box.
Can't go wrong.
Yep. Stop at the clam box. I got what did I get? Oh, I got the lobster mac and cheese, dude. It was phenomenal.
I bet.
Phenomenal. Grabbed a couple drinks there, and then that was pretty much it for fishies. I mean, that was all shit. I think Saturday or Sunday, and then the rest of the week, dude. Like I said, you and I reached out to you. I was like, you know what, dude? It's like, turns out my Saturday's open. Let's, do you think Matt has room for me to come in and like set up a table at the Swimbait Farmers Market? And Bobby did what Bobby does and, reached out. He's like, here's his number. I called him. He's like, yeah, dude. I was like, I know it's late. I wasn't going to come. So originally I had something on the schedule for this weekend that changed. He's like, yeah. He's like, he just wanted to make sure I wasn't like selling the same exact stuff a couple of the other people were, which I wasn't.
Exactly.
Yep. And then, yeah, dude. So did that. And that's it. Last night, last night I got a little banged up, Bobby.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I got to cut. Actually, I'll kind of by you. What was it? So we originally, I got a buddy. So we're setting out a team. They're deploying. So a couple of guys I'm close to are going, and they're leaving next week. So we kind of got together last night.
Yep.
A little bit of a send off, but they're from out by you. And we went to, we were going to go to the tap room in Wilbraham.
Oh yeah. I'm familiar.
Dude, it looked like it was like shut down. It was closed. Dude, it was like,
that place they've been through like a bunch of owners. A buddy of mine used to do trivia there, and like they've been like, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. So then we ended up at the Route 20 restaurant, like up the street a little bit in Wilbraham. Yeah. And it was all right. I had a couple drinks there, and then ended up hitting kind of like a dive bar in that area. But yep. So had fun there today.
It wasn't Turtle Pond, was it?
What?
It wasn't Turtle Pond, was it?
No.
All right.
Shit. It was like called the it's right there on
right on 20.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of it, but I was like, I don't know, but yeah. Today I had a funeral to go to, so I had to go do that today. That's why I didn't work, and then just went and got set up, got pre-staged everything for tomorrow to make sure I'm good to go. That's it, man. I'm pumped for tomorrow. It's gonna be a good time.
That's awesome, dude. We have coming up later in the show, we have an unbelievable interview. I just recorded it today, and it's with Kai Ludden, Kai the fish guy. He's on Instagram, he's on YouTube, and I discovered Kai on was it Instagram? I think it was. And what caught my attention is he's attempting the Massachusetts Angler of the Year award for catching.
Dude, I bet, dude, I've been following him on TikTok. Like, I'm going to say this, and I say this, and I'm sure he's going to take this when he hears this with all the love that I mean for it. He is one of the fishiest sons of bitches I've had in the beef seat in a long fucking time. When I say that, let me put like a little bit of fucking seasoning on it. He is as fishy, and maybe even a little bit more
than Sean the Fisherman.
Like, and I only say this because he has a background in the sciences of all of this, and not just like a lifetime. Because, like, I've talked about this before. I've had a bunch of guests on, and myself, that we often share the same story. Like, we're into fishing when we're young, and it's like we get into high school, and like, it just kind of gets pushed to the background. And then it's like later in life, and you get into your 30s or 40s, you're just like, you pick it back up again. He never did that. Like, he has been fishing his entire life and is trapped. Like, dude, he's got great. So stick around for that interview. It is so good. Man, I got to tell you, like, it is just insane.
Some of the fish he's already caught for this year. Mm-hmm. Like, he's knocked out a lot of the tough ones. I love
like the strategy. Like, we talked a little bit about like the multi-species scavenger hunt and all that stuff in the interview, but we got more in depth afterwards. Dude, we're definitely gonna have him on. I don't know, man. I think he could do it because he's got till the end of the year. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's got to the end of the year, and like, he's really kind of doing it, like being real smart. You know what I mean? But it's awesome. He's a Massachusetts guy. He's traveled. He's fished a bunch of different spots. We talked a lot about that. Just really, 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 really good stuff. Wolf from Walmart says, does Mr. Fisherman know there's someone that's more fishy than him? I think he's probably okay with it.
Or he won't accept it.
Yeah, but I know Sean doesn't listen to this show either. So unless one of you motherfuckers tell him, like, I know Sean has way too much going on to sit and listen to Jigs and Bigs. It's just it's unbelievable. One thing before I jump into my week, we got to say congratulations to Todd Sefton. Todd is one of our jig heads fishing in the sticks. He's in the chat right now, but he's probably not going to be here too long because he's got a very important dinner to go to. He and his wife are celebrating 10 years of marital bliss. Congrats, guys. 10 years is huge. 10 years is absolutely freaking huge. So very, very cool. Congrats to you crazy kids. I remember, what was it? Was it last weekend? I didn't fish. I went out of town with the lady. We went out and we went to the beautiful city of New Haven, Connecticut. And the reason why I say it like that is because there was a Romanian restaurant that my wife wanted to go to called Transylvania. And we go there and we roll up in the Uber because we knew we were going to do some drinking. So we got a hotel for the night and we rolled up in an Uber and we were like, okay, yeah, we'll go in. And dude, the roof is covered in like styrofoam, like headstones and spider webs and vampire shit everywhere. Like they lean into this hard. Like there are really nice pieces of artwork of not like there is Dracula themed stuff, but of Vlad the Impaler, like on the wall, like really nice shit. The food is out of this world. My wife and I had a couple of cocktails. We killed a bottle of wine, had a dessert cocktail. We took dessert to go. By the way, that's the pro move. Take dessert to go. Take it to leave. Don't eat it there. So we get back, and as we get back to the hotel, my phone rings and it's the restaurant. My wife left her purse there. So we got a double tour of New Haven, going back to the restaurant to get her purse and then come back home. We decided we'd go up to the rooftop bar. We stayed at the Omni in downtown New Haven. And we went up to the rooftop bar, had a drink there. I tapped into, I haven't had my summertime scotch. Is Glenlivet 12. I just feel like, I say summertime because to me, it's like beachy, you know? So... Wolf of Walmart says, I like to call myself Vlad the Impaler. Wife hates it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we had it was a really, really nice weekend. It was awesome. Got back into town on Sunday, just basically enough time to get to work and everything. We stopped for breakfast, took our time coming home. It was really nice. So then I was like, all right, while we were down there, because like after we were done with drinks, dude, I was so shit-faced editing the podcast. I was like, I want to get this done Saturday night. So we're just like watching TV in the room, just eating our dessert and everything. And I'm sitting there, I'm doing the podcast, and I'm like, all right, so everything's cool, we're good. I was also brainstorming this whole change of the format. So I was like, Monday, I'm going. Like I had fished the week before, I had fished 5 times. The following week, I think I fished twice. Maybe 3 times. And I was like, I'm going out. We're hitting it. This week I got out 3 times as well. So what does the breakdown look like? How did I do? Well, let's take a look. Monday I went out, hit a spot I've been fishing off and on throughout the year. Really like it. Got a later start than I kind of wanted. I thought I was going to get up crazy early, and then my alarm went off and I was like, nope. So I only got to the water at launch for about 9 a.m. The water there is really low, but the visibility is amazing. It was like 2.5, 3 feet of visibility. It's stupid. Water temps were in the high 70s to low 80s, and I started off. I started out offshore, doing that tactic that I was using, that I talked about in last week's episode in Just the Tip. So I was using side scan just to look out deep and find some stuff that looked juicy. And I dropped a handful of waypoints, and then I went back over and I cruised over, and I was like, okay, so this one here specifically was like the second one that I had marked on my way in. When I went back over, I saw it and I was like, all right, we're going to go ahead. We'll make a cast. I took a cast with a drop shot, and I think I was in about like 10, maybe 8 feet of water or something like that. And I catch a 13-inch smallie right off the rip, like off that brush pile that I had marked. And I was like, you want to talk about like feeling like really accomplished at that point? I was stoked. I did throw around some top water. That never happened. I fished, cruised over a couple of these other spots. Nothing really looked great. But then I rolled into what has worked in the past, which is some submerged grass. And what was really good was I was throwing around a weightless fluke on a Texas rig in that grass, and I caught a handful of small bass in there. Unfortunately, as does in the higher elevation in the Berkshires, the thunder started to roll. The thunder freaking rolled, chased me out of there. It sucked. But you know what was really crazy, Joe? I go to get the boat out of the water. I roll up to the launch, and I go grab my truck. And there's a van, like a minivan next to me with a trailer with a sailboat, like a catamaran style sailboat, right? A sailboat, a schooner. Anyway, I go and I back the truck in. I grab the boat and I come back, and I'm like, are these guys loading up, or are they done, or are they launching? So I ask them. And they're like, yeah, no, we're just getting ready to send it. And I was like, are you sure? This was an older gentleman and his 3 grandkids. And I was like, are you sure you want to do that right now? I was like, I got chased out because I saw lightning in the bay over here. And he's like, oh, really? So then he has one of his grandkids going and scrolling on his phone, looking at he's looking at obviously like Apple's like weather app, whatever. And that's not great, Oh,
it's garbage.
Yeah, it's really not. So he's like, oh, is there like a 40% chance of thunderstorms, it says. And I'm like, for me, like I'm going to send it at 40%. But when I have somebody who's seen lightning, done deal. Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
So he's like, and it had rained like off and on. It started and stopped. So, I mean, this storm was moving fast. It didn't stick around long. But he was like, yeah, he goes, the thing is to remember, boys, lightning,
it doesn't go through you.
And it was very obvious that he had no intention of giving an iota of a shit about their safety at all. So I did look on the news to see if there was any headlines that had come through with like, local grandfather and 3 grandchildren electrocuted on the such and such body of water. I did not see that. But then again, I also know the news media works, and they wouldn't necessarily run that story, unless it was a really fucking slow news day. But right. So I was like, okay, all right, there we go. That's cool. So I head back afterwards. Tuesday, did not go back out. Was it no, it was Thursday. I didn't get back out until, was it Thursday or Wednesday? No, it was Thursday night is what it was, because I didn't have trivia. That's right. So I didn't get out Tuesday or Wednesday. I went out on Thursday and I fished a spot that, again, like I've kind of had in the rotation recently. Now, this is after, because Tuesday and Wednesday, we got between those 2 days, like something like 2.5 or 3 inches of rain locally.
Right.
Like insane. Insane. So I'm going to give you guys the water temps here. Now keep in mind, I was up higher elevation, and we had we had temps that were in the low 80s, right? I was down here in the valley where temps easily should have been about right there. But after all that rain, 72 degrees, dude. Water was super dirty when I went out. We had some cloudy skies and some light wind when I launched. So I was thinking like, hey, maybe we'll get them on a moving bait. Maybe they'll cooperate a little bit. Threw around a spinner bait a little bit, couple other things, some top water as well. I've been fooling around with these new wake baits that I got from Black Label, from Dark Horse Tackle. And I'm into them. I bought a light one and a dark one. I bought a black one and a bone one. And I tried on the black one. I got a couple. I've never seen this, Joe. So I threw this, and I'm moving it back at like a medium pace, and the way this wake bait works is it runs like a wake bait should, like it makes that V wake, but this has 3 trebles on it, and it's shaped like a walking bait, and it does have a little ass kick going on in the back.
Okay.
I had not 3 different casts, one cast on one retrieve back. I had 3 swipes at this bait with 9 hook points on it. And this fish missed all of them every single time. I was like, you've got to be shitting me. So I switched to the white, thinking that maybe the brighter color, like it would give him something to look at. Plus this bone has like an orange line on the bottom. So I'm like, okay, maybe that'll work. Nothing on top water whatsoever. What's crazy is that this body of water, I don't really have a great history with throwing one of my biggest confidence baits and having good results, that being a paddle tail swim bait. But a paddle tail is all that they would eat. I was doing the same tactic. I was looking around offshore to find some stuff, and like I was throwing a couple of some of this stuff was really deep. Some of this stuff was in like 25 feet of water, and I was marking fish. I throw out like a drop shot or a net or something like that. They just wouldn't touch it. Would not touch it at all. Try to jig in a bunch of different places. Went up and fished shallow and fished some cover on the bank that was visible. Threw a jig around there. Nothing. But I would throw a paddle tail, man, and I did okay. In total, I caught 5. I caught one smallie off of this little patch of grass on this hump comes up, and it's got vegetation up on top, but it goes down on the sides. It's really deep. It's like 20 feet deep, maybe even a little bit more on one side. And just swimming this right over the top of that grass, I got one smallie to bite. I got a 12.5-inch freaking black crappie. I am so close to a pin. And I talk about this with Kai. I'm like, the one pin that has just been the bane of my existence. Because like there was one day where I was out fishing in your area, Joe, and I caught 4 13.75-inch fucking
I was going to
crappie.
say it's 14, right?
It's 14, and I keep just
That's where I got the spot that you're talking about. That's where I got both my crappie pins.
Crazy, dude. And I'm like, all right, so we're, I'm working on it. It's just a matter of this fish just absolutely crushed this swim bait. And I was throwing like a 3.5-inch I think it was a 3.5-inch paddle tail. So I then hooked into a pickerel in the grass, and then caught 2 largemouth. After the first one, I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. This is catching like crazy. I need bigger fish for this tournament. So what I did was I used that same jig head. It was a 1/4 ounce. And I took off that 3.5-inch and I put on a 4-inch swim bait to see how it did. The next fish that I caught was about 14 inches, finally. And it was the best largemouth of the day. So I fished for a little bit longer, and I was just like, man, at this point I was just getting hungry. I was like, all right, let's just get off the water, head back. We'll prep a few things, do some planning for this show, and we'll call it a night. It'll be nice. But I'll tell you what, man, it was one of the nicest Thursday nights I've had in a while. It was, It really was. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to get out today or not, because I had this. Initially I wanted to get out crazy early, but I was recording with Kai at 10. So I'm like, you know what? Now I'm gonna handle some stuff around the house. Hang out with the dogs, quality time with my dogs. And I'm like, I'm going to record and then I'll go hit the water. Dude, after I was done, I got packed up from recording. I got everything all set, let the dogs out, put them in their crates. Thunderstorm rolls through. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
dude?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get shit here.
Oh yeah, dude. It was a really heavy rain too. Like kind of like, remember when I was doing that tournament with Paul over on for the slot, and we got hit with that storm, and it was like I said, we're motoring back, and it was like the heaviest rain. When I went out to the truck, it was like that. But I was going slightly north, and it just dodged it. But I was like, this could be really good. This might fire up some fish. This could be pretty good. So I go out, and my thought was, and I was talking with Kai about this, and I've been having much better results in the main river. Over at Oxbow than in Oxbow proper. Like I have much better results. So I launched the boat. I go ahead and I get out to the main river, and dude, the water's crazy high now. Like crazy high. After all that rain, it's like super high.
It went from one extreme to the other.
Yep, it totally did. It absolutely did. And the water temp when at the ramp was 73 degrees. Yeah, that's in Oxbow. So out in the main river was even cooler, Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is like, it was so cool that when I went to go launch the boat, and I'm in my Crocs in the water, I was like, this is nice. This is refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I go to out into that main river, and I'm looking around, and I'm scanning around a little bit. I'm finding some stuff, and I'm marking fish. In fact, I see a couple of blow-ups at the surface, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what we can put together. I threw a bunch, dude, at them, and I was thinking, like, because of that storm.
And this is today, after the storm.
After the storm. So I'm like, I'm going to go with, like, textbook, like, we're going to break it down. So I start throwing what do you call it? A shock blade. I start throwing a bladed jig immediately, and I'm just covering water. Now this is the dirtiest I've seen the river in a while. Like we're talking like out in the main river, it wasn't as bad as in Oxbow. In Oxbow, we're talking 6 to 8 inches of visibility. Crazy.
Was there shit floating in the river?
Oh, yeah, there was. In fact, I hit a log today, dude. Yeah, it was like not going any like crazy speed or anything, but yeah, there was all kinds of debris floating everywhere. So I'm fishing around and I'm trying a bunch of different tactics, different elements of the water column. They just wanted nothing to do with it. And I remember I was like,
moron, you need big bass. Today is the last day of the month, you idiot.
So I go, this current's ripping. I'm like, any largemouth that are out here are going to be absolutely tucked into some pockets. Yep. So I'm going to go into Oxbow and see what I can come up with. And my plan was to, if need be, go up and fish this one specific spot and just throw a jig in there and see what we could do. And I started out doing that. So I motor all the way in. I get down in there and I start throwing a jig around. I fish a good chunk of it and I'm not having any results. And I was like, you know what, man? Let me just for shits and giggles throw that fluke in here. Because we got some grass around there. I was like, throw that and see what happens. Because there was a point where I was in this one spot. And like, what's crazy is after that rain had passed, like there were a couple more showers that came through. The wind died entirely. Once that storm system passed, like it was like glass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, this is so weird back here. So I take that fluke and I make a cast because I can actually see fish like close to the bank where it drops off pretty steep. But they're not far in the column at all. They're up there. And I caught the biggest of the day, which is a 15. Which is like my fucking average for like this month. Unless I'm in a tournament and it can help me, then it's like, it's ridiculous. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So this isn't going to do any good, but we'll see what happens. I'm like, I'll just fish this along this bank and see what we come up with. Dude, the next 4 casts in alternating succession, I caught 2 more fish.
Hell yeah.
What the fuck? I was like, are you kidding me? No shit. Okay. So we'll see what happens. Then I couldn't get on anything. So I'm trying to put the pieces together. I was like, is this the depth? Whatever. Then I noticed something that was crazy. I thought I saw, you know how like when a bait ball is like up near the surface, you can kind of see the water churn?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. So I see that and I see what is a short and thick northern pike come up and just go right through this bait ball. Like,
oh, that's just so sick.
Fucking amazing. Dude, he came up and attacked it 3 different times.
That's cool.
So after I saw the first time, I threw my fluke right into the bait ball. And I was like, just let it sit as it's sinking. I'd give it one little twitch just to see. It would not fucking touch it. Would not touch it.
That's when you get the donkey rig going.
Dude, you know what? Yeah, actually, I should fuck around with that. I 100% should be fucking around with that. I didn't even think about that, Joe. Because
dude, it's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
Let's kind of we're gonna hit the track thing here and go off the rail a little bit.
That's fine.
But I find myself doing that a lot lately, where I will think about like fuck, like I had this situation and it's weird that I couldn't catch him. And then that's what, there's so many different techniques that not only are out there, but that we know and we've used in the past. But you know, it's just like you like fuck, like, oh my God, a donkey rig would have worked. And you like, don't think of it then. It's like, it's a total like hindsight 2020
totally
thing.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you know, even like I was in a situation, when I was out with Meg and Emma, and I was like, man, I was marking these fish there. I was like, but I couldn't get them to like eat. And like, there's a little bit of chop stars. So I was like, why the fuck didn't I throw a swim or a spinner bait?
Dude, the jig heads are on fucking fire tonight, man. The comments are in the gutter tonight. It is hilarious. Wolf of Walmart. I mean, we should just go through the whole lineup here. But Dave, there was the cherry on top. He goes, I love throwing my donkey rig at the short, thick ones. Hey, Dave, we all have a type, and I'm here for it, man. It's all good. Yeah, dude. How do you tie your donkey rigs, Joe?
2 swivels. I use 2 swivels.
You do use 2 swivels. Okay, yep. All right. Because that's the thing.
It's I literally like fucking eagle claw swivels, dude. Whatever I can find, you know what I mean? Because it's not some barrel swivels aren't something I typically ever used for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so nope, couple swivels, couple I usually use like a 2-watt wide gap hook with and I usually throw Sakamata shads.
Oh, okay. Sakamatas. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I love the Sakamata. It'll be a Sakamata shad, or if I want kind of a weird, like different movement, I'll throw the Warbirds on there from Fish or Die.
From Fish or Die. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta tinker a little bit with that, because like I've seen some people are like, oh yeah, in a pinch for a donkey rig, just tie one like you would a drop shot, leave that long leader, and then tie another one. And
that's it.
You use that if you need to. And I'm like, oh, yeah. It wouldn't be too bad.
I do the two. I do the two friggin'
the two swivels, huh?
Swivels, and it works. It works, man, for me. I usually do a good, I usually do like 18 inches on one, and then, like 14 inches on the other.
Yeah, so they're kind of in the same window.
Yeah. So, and they're just doing that kind of, So and it works, dude. The action is fucking stupid. You're like, this is so dumb that this works as well.
I'm gonna have to fool around with that, because that may have been what I needed to get that bite there. I didn't even think about that. It's funny because Josh Chitwood from Dark Horse Tackle posted today about, he was like, let's talk about it. I was on he was like, I went out today and I only brought a couple of different baits, and I was like, this is what I'm fishing with. And he was like, what are you? Are you one that takes like all your gear with you, or are you? And I think like you made the point right there. You can have all your gear with you. Sometimes it just doesn't even dawn on you.
Yeah, it doesn't even register.
And you're just like, motherfucker.
People like us that have been in the industry for so long and have been fishing for so long have learned so many different techniques that there's no way to think of each and every one of them all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
it would be
like
nice.
It gets as stupid as like, I forgot something as simple and as a spinnerbait. You know what I mean? Like after the fact, I'm like, I literally sit at the clam box eating my bomb ass lobster mac and cheese. I'm like, I remember I went like this. I'm eating, we're talking, and Meg's like, what is wrong with you? We're having a different conversation. And I go, fucking spinnerbait. It's just like, what?
What the fuck?
I was like, why didn't I throw a fucking spinnerbait at those? She's like, you're cooked.
Yeah, right? Dude, that's when they know.
And you're obviously not paying attention to me. I was like, sorry.
I will tell you, since Holly has been fishing with me, I feel like I have a pass to talk about the nerdiest fishing shit with her.
Yeah.
And she may not even fucking actually give a shit, but like I feel like she's a little bit more invested. So like when I talk about this stuff, it's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And like, so she's Meg's coming with me for the Hoodlum Fest. She'll be on the boat with me.
Nice.
And actually, I'm gonna do so. I'm not in it I should have talked about this in my week. I'm not in it to win it for the Hoodlum Fest.
Of course not.
Because, I'll have Meg with me, but I also have a buddy of mine. Who's not really in it, really likes, like never been into fishing, but like really likes the idea of it. He was one of the ones I was out with the other night or last night. And he's like, dude, cause they're in my unit too, and they're actually going to come to the after party after. But he's like, I'm going to have him hop on the boat, and I'm going to try to get him onto a couple of good ones.
You go.
And, so it'll be a good time.
It is crazy. We actually, it's so funny. We have there was an email that I got today regarding Hoodlum Fest, and somebody, you know what it is? I fucked up. I never should have tried to cross-brand the BCRF event, which, by the way, you guys have turned out for. Like, there is a major uptick now in the BCRF breast cancer charity tournament that's happening on August the 8th. So congrats to you guys. Like, you guys it's happening. And I think people are realizing that, like, I can still win prizes through the raffle and not even have to fish. Like, it doesn't matter. This is more about, like, doing it for the cause. But back, like, months ago, I was like, oh, well, all of these people are, like, Hookset Hoodlums is promoting this like publicly, like, and they're just like, Hoodlum Fest, it's going on this weekend, it's going to be great. But like, there are so many people that follow Hoodlum Fest and or Hookset Hoodlums and everything that like circles around them that I came up with the idea initially. I was like, well, we should run on that day, on that Saturday. We should just do the slot. on that same weekend. But we'll do it for charity. And we'll do it in partnership. So this way people can be kind of confused. This is why I had to password protect that event. This is why
I was wondering that,
dude. So many people have been like, "Oh, I'm trying to register for this," and I got a call from somebody today, or an email from somebody today, and they're trying to do it. I was like, "Are you a Hoodlums like pro staffer that's going to be in that area on that time?" And he's like, "Well, no, I'm not on pro staff, but I live in that area." And I was like, I got to email him back and be like, brother, you want this one, the slot. Like, that's the one you want to enter. Yeah. That's for, like, everybody to, like, be involved with and everything. Because, like, at that party, the slot won't be judged at that point. Unless Binya is feeling ambitious. You know, it's possible.
Right.
I'm in both of them. And, like, anybody who's, like, from that's attending the actual, like, Hookset Hoodlums, like, on the water event, they should enter both. You know what I mean? Because odds are most of the fish that you're going to catch will be able to be used in that, you know, in both. So enter for both. But, dude, it's wild. It's just wild. But thank you, guys. I appreciate you for showing up for the BCRF event. I think that's absolutely awesome. Is there anything else that I kind of wanted to go over before we do just the tip? I don't think that there is. Yeah, let's go ahead. Why don't we bang out just the tip? We'll get that sucker. That sounded highly inappropriate. Let's go ahead and we'll get that sucker underway. We're talking adaptability.
And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
This week, guys, on Just the Tip, I don't want to talk about a lure. I don't want to talk about a rod. I don't even want to talk about electronics. I want to talk about what I believe is the single most valuable skill that an angler can possess. And that skill is adaptability. Think about it for a second. If I ask 10 anglers what separates good fishermen from the real, true, great ones, I'd probably hear answers like experience, electronics, time on the water, expensive tackle, or maybe even just natural talent. And while all of those things certainly can help, I don't think that any of them are the sole answer. I think that the best anglers are simply the ones that adapt the fastest as things change. Fishing is a game of constant change. Weather changes, like today. That was a good example, actually. The wind changes, like today. Water levels are going to rise and fall from day to day, week to week, season to season. Water clarity can change overnight. Bait moves. The fish obviously move. Fishing pressure is going to change. Even our confidence changes throughout the day. It can be counted in minutes sometimes, depending on the situation. And yet, so many of us launch the boat with one plan. We spend 8 hours trying to force that plan to work. We've all done it.
I came here to throw a frog. I know they're on this point. They've got to be here.
And before you know it, you've spent half your day trying to prove yourself right instead of paying attention to what the fish are trying to tell you. Some of the best days that some of us have ever had weren't necessarily because we figured out the perfect pattern before launch. They happened because we realized that the original plan we set out with wasn't working and changes need to be made. In some instances, for me, it might have been picking up a completely different presentation. Maybe abandoning an area that I looked at that looked absolutely perfect, either on a map or just looked juicy in person. Maybe it was slowing down, changing cadence. Maybe I stopped casting altogether and then took some time to scan around and learn what I was looking at and gather some information before making another decision. The point is, adaptation is needed. And honestly, I think that that's something that we've talked about on the show for a long time without ever really putting a name to it. I mean, I know that we have, but adaptability. When we've talked about fishing through like changing weather, that right there is adaptability. Learning a glide bait, like that was something I said in January, you know, that's adapting. Fishing current. We've been talking about that off and on throughout this year. Trying out new techniques, changing your mindset, all of those things, it's all adaptability. The anglers who constantly, or consistently rather, catch fish aren't the ones who always have the right answer. They're the ones that recognize when it's time to change the question. And here's the challenge I'd like to leave you with this week. The next time you're on the water and things aren't going your way, don't immediately blame the weather. I'm guilty of that. Don't immediately blame the lake. Don't blame the fish. Instead of blaming anybody, just ask yourself a simple question. What do I need to change? Maybe it is your bait, but maybe it's simply your retrieve. Maybe it's the location. Can you confidently say that fish are definitely present there? Were there any signs, or is it just a hunch? Maybe it's your depth. Have you paid attention to the bites and follows you've previously had? Maybe it's just your mindset. Sometimes the biggest adjustment isn't changing what's tied onto your line. It's changing what's going on between your ears. And if you learn to make those adjustments earlier, before frustration sets in, you'll start catching more fish. And it's not because you found a secret lure. It's because you've learned the one skill that every great angler eventually develops: adaptability. Remember this, the fish don't care what your plan was. I mean, realistically, they don't even know it, you know? They only respond to the decisions that you make in that moment. So don't spend your day trying to prove your plan right. Spend your day learning what the fish are trying to teach you, because at the end of the day, the most adaptable angler usually ends up holding the trophy or the title check. And you're just the tip. So, I mean, Joe, we have talked about that a bunch, and sometimes, like, this is a learning process, you know? When we talk about adaptability, it's not like I don't know that there is any other way to, like, train yourself for it than just to go and do what you're doing. But I think that the best way to apply a way to remember adaptability is like, you know, like when back when I worked in television, like if I had to remember something, you know, when I worked in master control, I'd take a Post-it note and I'd put it right on the screen. Like I was constantly looking at that screen over and over, and I wouldn't forget, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, make it a part of your routine. You're like, if this isn't working, you know, do something. I've heard this from a bunch of pros. The old eat a sandwich trick. You ever hear this? Okay. Where they're like,
I don't think so.
Oh yeah. They're like, oh yeah, it's a rough day. You're just grinding it out. You know, you can't figure them out. You're struggling a little bit. Stop and eat something.
Oh,
that break of like stopping and like taking time to like eat a sandwich or eat some jerky, have a cold drink, have a water, definitely get your minerals and your sodium in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Wolf of Walmart, the Element spot. You know, take some time, you know, to like reset yourself. And you know how they say, like, you know how people have this ability to, like, they'll have like a discussion or something or an argument, and like hours after it's done, they're like, fuck, I wish I would have said that.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Every day.
Yeah, everybody does it. Like, if you can just like know that, like, it's that break, that idea might come to you. So, hey, I might as well tie on a donkey rig because this one thing wasn't working, but what can I do to change this? Something like that. And like, it's crazy because we were just talking about this. John Higgins chimes in right here. He goes, what you plan to feed them may not be on the menu. Whatever you see in the area will be today's special. And he's 100% right. Yeah. Absolutely right, dude.
You know what the biggest thing that gets in the way of adaptation on the water? Frustration.
Frustration for sure. I was thinking ego, but I think you nailed it. Frustration, because it's this like distortion that allows you, that keeps you from being able to make that connection of something else. So that's where
I like you said, the whole eat a sandwich thing. You just gotta like, and I am such this happens to me more often than I want to admit, but you know, frustration is the number one thing that gets in the way of my adaptation. Or adaptability.
It's crazy because you do, like, it's so easy to just struggle with it constantly right there.
Oh yeah.
Bert says, I feel attacked. Don't feel attacked, Bert. Do not feel attacked. John also earlier on, he comments, he goes, I always say, learn to read the water. They'll tell you everything that you need to know. And you know, that's the thing. Like, I've tried to take shortcuts and learning to read water and like I've tried looking for shortcuts on like what are these fish actually trying to tell me, you know, and it was years before I realized the value in a follow.
Oh yeah.
The value in a missed strike, you know? And like that's the thing, like I think that being able to, like I said earlier in there, knowing that there's fish where you're at plays a huge role there, because you always wonder, like, if they're not there, you're like, there's no fish over here. And then you move on. But really, like, it's so easy to get lost in the sauce of like the sayings and the phrases in fishing. Like, you know, you've heard it before. 90% of the fish are in 10% of the lake. I think about that and it makes me want to rip my beard off my face.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because I'm like, how is that fucking possible? Like, this just looks like it's holding fish, and it very well could be. You know, might be a giant in there, but for one reason or another, it's crazy. We talk in this interview with Kai about bite time, and you know, there's some anglers that like they get really hung up on specific stuff. Like some people it's barometric pressure, some people it's moon phase, some people it's, you know, like bite time, like that. Other folks, they get hung up on color, you know, other people it's size profile, you know,
right.
All of those things are variables that are ingredients to this recipe that you can put together. And that's what makes fishing so crazy. Like when people say I've recently seen a reel and it's like fishing is the most the most relaxing way to get pissed off. And there's something to that. Like, I feel like part of the reason why fishing works for so many people in their lives is that it pulls you out of that daily grind, like that constant grind everybody's got, the job, the domestic life, like everything else. And it puts you in a situation like many other hobbies where you're focused on something that is difficult, you know?
Sure.
And I think there's something really like therapeutic to doing that, like disconnecting from everything else, trying to accomplish this one problem. And even when it's the worst, it's like, even when it's not going well at all, you still get off the water and you're like, well, didn't have to deal with that. Didn't have to deal with my kids fucking asking me for money to go and buy fucking crumble cookies or whatever. You know what I mean? Sure. Shit like that. So it's kind of cool. I don't know. Yep. Oh, hold on a second. This is great. Dave says, he goes, I would say those constant calls from my wife are the worst frustration. Man, I got some friends that's exactly what it is. And then Bert chimes in with some, I think a great piece of advice. He goes, Dave, get T-Mobile, then delete call log. Oh my goodness. 10% of the lake could be the entire shoreline. You're damn right, John. You're damn right. 10% of the lake could be the entire fucking shoreline. It's true, man. It's, you know, it's wild. So yeah, be adaptable. I think that's the best thing that you guys can apply to your fishing and your toolkit, you know, and learn to like read the signs, like pay attention to the details. The devil's in the details. And you will be able to like work yourself out of that hole of frustration a lot easier if you're willing to make a change, you know, and start fresh, you know, just get out there, start fresh. Sometimes it is as easy as just changing the spot, you know, like, oh, they're not hitting here. Let's go and you know, find this other thing. This is why, like, I think that it's such a valuable thing to look at a map ahead and look at things like the forecast for the wind, but just pay attention so that you know which banks are the wind-blown bank. So if nothing else, you might be able to lean on that, and that might be what you need to figure it out, you know? Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. Hey, we are going to take a quick break, guys. When we get back, we've got some headlines to go through. We've got a derb update from Binya Outdoors. And, you know, this is the last day of the month as we're recording this. So we're about to kick off with the August duo. But August is a big month because
Texas.
You're at bat. The Texas region is live, and it's filling up. Like there's a lot of Lone Star folks that are like into this. This is good.
Yeah.
This is very good. I
love that.
A little birdie told me that the Wolf of Walmart is going to be assisting for our California region as well, as far as getting some folks to jump in on that, because the plan is next year, folks.
Does his wife know? Does his wife know that he's doing all this?
Oh, she doesn't know that she's the team partner right there. That's what she is. Yeah. You know. Yeah, get another kayak. Just strap the kids in, and here's the thing, Dave. You could do all this because your oldest is getting there. He can watch the kids, and you guys, you and Madam Walmart can go out and fish hard. I love that idea. Here I am giving out marriage advice. God, it's amazing. You know what I realized about last week, Joe? I never talked about. I teased this. I never talked about this, but I said we tested the marriage last week.
We're remodeling our kitchen and bathroom.
Oh yeah.
We did some shopping for appliances and cabinetry. Oh my God!
Weren't on the same page on anything, were you?
Let me just say that the estimate that we expected we were getting is over budget, so we have to make some changes.
Yeah,
100%. Wife of Walmart. I love that. All right, guys, we take a short break. Don't go too far. We got more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom!
Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease, known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
For the moments that matter, choose Curad Naturals. Infused with aloe vera and vitamin E, Curad Naturals bandages protect your unexpected scrapes, cuts, and burns while also moisturizing your skin. Find deeper relief with natural ingredients you can trust to start the healing. When life's surprises call for the best, choose Curad, a deeper level of care. Shop the full collection on Amazon or visit Curad.com to learn more.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Well, Bobby, I'm going to be honest. This is not a fish story, but it's something that I just had to let everyone know. And Bobby, I regret to inform you that Bigfoot has apparently left the Pacific Northwest and is now vacationing in Connecticut.
I heard about this.
So a Rhode Island man says he nearly hit an 8 to 8.5 foot tall Bigfoot while driving through Voluntown, Connecticut in the middle of the night. Now here's where things get even better. This wasn't just a guy posting on Facebook after having one too many beers. Nope. Professional Bigfoot investigators have entered the chat and have gotten involved.
Really?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
There are apparently people whose full-time hobby is investigating Sasquatch sightings, Bobby.
Oh, yes. This is real.
So imagine explaining this one at Thanksgiving. So, what have you been up to? Well, I've been tracking a hairy 800-pound forest man through Connecticut for the last 3 weeks. Can you pass the mashed potatoes?
Could you imagine?
The investigators interviewed the witness, visited the scene, measured distances, documented everything, and ultimately classified it as a Class A sighting, which is basically the highest credibility rating they hand out. And I say that with very emphasized air quotes.
Yeah.
Think about it. Somewhere in America, there's a filing cabinet, Bobby, with official paperwork
There is.
about Bigfoot. I don't know whether to laugh or update my resume. Can you imagine introducing yourself, Bobby? Hi, I'm Joe. What do you do? I'm a senior Sasquatch field investigator.
I can see that. Yeah.
We're currently pursuing several Sasquatch in and around the Northeast. Now, before we make it too much fun of them.
No, yeah.
The witness apparently gave a remarkably detailed description.
They all do.
Height, build, hair, facial features, even the jawline.
Mm-hmm.
The jawline. Meanwhile, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. And this guy is out here critiquing Bigfoot's jawline. But, you know, my favorite part is when reporters asked local officials about it, one joked that Bigfoot had actually stopped by town hall the week before to pay his taxes.
Jesus.
Honestly, that's probably the most reasonable, responsible Bigfoot I've heard of. But as fishermen, we know mysterious creatures exist. Every bass you lose somehow gains 3 pounds before you tell the story. So maybe, just maybe, Bigfoot's real in Connecticut. But until somebody catches him on live scope, or he starts throwing a glide bait, I'm staying skeptical. Although, if the Bigfoot investigators start asking to borrow my boat, probably gonna say yes.
You know, it's funny because, like, there's a part of me, like, I am so intrigued with the Bigfoot stuff. 100%. Like, crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. I played tough on this. Like, yeah. Me too.
I am like, but there is, so in New Hampshire, they have like a Bigfoot like investigator festival, like a gathering of Bigfoot.
Okay.
Like, it's a whole thing. And like some people, like it's an industry at this point because there are people who make like every type of Bigfoot collectible you could possibly think of.
Sure.
If you go down the rabbit hole of Bigfoot lore, there is no shortage of like content creators that are out there that are making like Bigfoot specific, Sasquatch specific content. And,
right.
You know, like there was one podcast I came across a couple of years ago. And this guy was talking about, this was in Granville, Mass. So right near the Connecticut border. Yeah. And he said that he had a very, very close encounter with multiple Bigfoots in this area. He was hunting and he was on his way. I don't know if he was on his way to his blind or what, but like right in the early hours of the morning, he was like, yeah, there were either 2 or 3 that he came in like direct contact with. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. People say they see weird shit, you know, and
oh yeah.
Man.
Oh yeah. You never know. You never know.
Bert says those are just single women up in upstate New Hampshire. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's that is a whole thing, man. God. Well, no Bigfoots around here locally. At least that I've come across. But who knows? And we're going to quickly get caught up with all of the tournament action that's been going on in the Jigs and Bigs tournament series with Binya.
Hey everyone, Binya here with a tournament standings update. We are wrapping up the July Duo Series. We had 5 competitors placing the money this month. I do want to mention for those of you in the Texas area, we do now have a team tournament trail in Texas. You still have time to sign up. So get involved because August 1st, Texas officially joins the Duo family and is able to compete in the monthly events. In 5th place, we have Team Geronimo coming in at 100 inches. 4th place, we've got Sticky Rice, 102.5 inches. We have a tie, but the tiebreakers put the team, and I don't know how to pronounce this still, so if you know how to say it, call me and tell me. Proulx. Not really sure how that one's said, but that one is the 3rd place team with 102.5 inches. Total Pirates are coming in at 104 in 2nd place, and MYA at 106.25. Some really strong contenders this month. Every team breaking a century belt, so I'm really happy to see that. And again, guys, don't forget to sign up for the BCRF slot. We have the monthly for August. And you Texas guys, get in on the game so that you can start playing around with this fun series. Back to you guys.
I'm really interested to see what the Texas Trail looks like for the totals in the money. I'm really, because it's one thing like that I hear all the time is that like with the slot, like a lot of the Texas, Florida guys, they're like, yeah, you know, we don't really catch many that are under 18. And I'm like, is it factual? I'd love to see that. So being that we have like a good chunk of folks that are entered in it, I think that this could be really good, but who knows, man. Benny and I we had a conversation about the future of the tournament trail, because once we get across the entire country with duo stuff, dude, that's going to be a monster like tournament update. So I think what we're going to do is, instead of doing the weekly stuff with that, we're going to do like one a month where it's like the conclusion of what happened that month, just because there's going to be so much to go through. If there's any like interesting shakeups or anything like that, we might like highlight those in between. But so I told Mike, I was like, we might just have you on like once a month. It might be a little bit easier that way, but Jigs and Bigs listening audience, I have something special for you. And we don't do this a lot. It's pronounced Binya. Okay, that's perfect. He says pronounced Prue. Okay. So let's do an unboxing. Let's do it. I got an email, all right, from a company, and I got very excited. When I tell you what the name of this company is, I got very excited about this. It's called the Fishing Weed Blocker. And I was like, ooh, I like weed, you know? Maybe this is like a fish whistle kind of thing. I thought maybe they paid attention. I couldn't have been more wrong, Joseph. I could not have been more wrong. So let's take a look. What is this? I've seen this online, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. You guys go ahead. Send me one, and I'll see what it's all about. Yeah. So what this is a piece of equipment. It actually comes with 3 of them in a package. And you rig this. They sent me some instructions on how you rig it. I'm gonna, oh my God, there's 4 of them. We'll do the Jigs and Bigs green. So what this is a cone with a flanged base. It's like a road cone, but like the sides all flange out like this. So what you do is you put this in line with your lure. Like, I forget the exact amount of, well, hold on a second. It's got instructions right on the package. So it says, thread your fishing line through the narrow end of the fishing weed blocker, and then tie on a swivel. Tie your leader onto the swivel. They recommend an 18 to 30 inch leader. And then add your lure or bait hook after that. Now you can slide the fishing weed blocker. It says now slide the fishing weed blocker down over the swivel and install a sinker at the top of the weed blocker, and you're ready to fish. So it's kind of like a Carolina rig, but the idea is that it's supposed to take those weeds and push them to the side so that you can get your bait through the grass without catching it all.
Gotcha.
Bert says, is that a mini flogger for Wild Bill's little hands? I don't know how this puppy's going to work. I told him I was going to try. I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting. They were like, oh yeah, we'll give you a promo code. I don't know if this is going to be great. I don't know if it's going to be, oh, Dave says, I call that a condom. Well, yeah, you do, because it's got a hole right through it. It just a river runs through it. You know what I'm saying? A river
runs through it.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the fishing weed blocker, not what I expected at all. But we'll send it. Look at the hook set on the guy in the package.
Hell yeah,
he's just fucking getting it right there. So yeah, it'll be interesting, man. And I'm somebody who I'm not afraid of fishing grass. You know what I mean? I like fishing weeds. That's no problem. But we'll see what happens. I suppose having a longer leader could be kind of interesting. They show this with like inline spinners. So I could see where that would definitely be something that you might be interested in, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to give this a little bit of a sample. We'll see, and I'll let you guys know. I'll let you know in a future episode of Jigs and Bigs. I may even do a YouTube video with this sucker. Who knows? One other thing. There was something else I wanted to talk about here. I totally forgot about it. It'll come to me. We're going to take another real quick break, guys. Don't go too far. We got more Jigs and Bigs coming up after this. This is kind of like this next block that you're going to hear. This is going to be our interview with Kai the Fish Guy. Awesome interview. Really, really cool to have some, like I said, one of the fishiest sons of bitches we've had in the beef seat in a while. And dude's getting it done. He is getting it done, man. Make sure to follow him on social media to check out his progress and see like where he is in this journey. Massachusetts Angler of the Year. There are a few things that Massachusetts does right, and their catch and release record system is one of them. 100%. It's really good. So we'll take a short break, but and after that interview, you guys are going to hear the social end of this. That's where we're going to put FTG. This week we don't have an FTG. I guess everybody was on their best behavior. So for that, we thank you. But we do have a handful of calls in the live well. You guys don't want to miss out. We'll see you guys in a bit. More Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom! Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease, known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. The MLB at Field of Dreams returns. Bryce Harper and the Philadelphia Phillies face Byron Buxton and the Minnesota Twins at the iconic Field of Dreams ballpark. The field is calling. Watch the MLB at Field of Dreams game live on Netflix Thursday, August 13th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific.
For the moments that matter, choose Curad Naturals. Infused with aloe vera and vitamin E, Curad Naturals bandages protect your unexpected scrapes, cuts, and burns while also moisturizing your skin. Find deeper relief with natural ingredients you can trust to start the healing. When life's surprises call for the best, choose Curad, a deeper level of care. Shop the full collection on Amazon or visit Curad.com to learn more.
Yeah, cool! A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks.
The end of the final lap, and we've got a champion.
And clicks. For kids who love everything on wheels, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here with another Jigs and Bigs interview segment. And in the beef seat this week, we've got a Massachusetts guy who has caught my attention because he is on a mission, an admirable mission. He is looking to be the next Massachusetts Angler of the Year, which is no small feat. And I've attempted myself, and I've gotten stuck in the loop. But he's killing it. And we're going to talk about we've got Kai the Fish Guy, Kai Ludden with us. Kai, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very good today, folks. How about everyone else? It's an honor to be on the show. I really appreciate you reaching out.
I got to tell you, man, I came across your stuff. I think it was on YouTube initially, and then I stumbled on you on Instagram. And so this year, you're on a mission to become the 2026 Massachusetts Adult Angler of the Year, which is no small feat. Like, I did some looking, and there are, winners who have won multiple times in the past right now, and I think currently there's like a reigning 7-time champ.
Yes, I am trying to take down the 7-time champ. That is my main mission with this challenge. And I mean, I've been fishing and doing content for the past 2 years, but I've got kind of like a different sort of fire ignited in me this year, trying to take him down and win.
So I'm curious. Let's talk about that, because I was curious about the motivation to do this, because there's few things you'll ever hear me say that like the state of Massachusetts does right. But their catch and release rewards program, they deserve a round of applause. They do it right.
Yes, it's very, very cool. And so I think for years what the program had initially set out to do was they did a catch and release group, which was the main thing for a long time. And with those, apparently you used to be able to have your own weigh station, like at your house, or like you could take a picture of the scale and submit the fish that way. So a lot of people that I had talked to who have won it before said they submitted the fish that way and they didn't have to kill anything.
Exactly.
But now they switched it for the weight program where you pretty much have to kill everything and bring it to these designated weight stations at the set time before the fish goes bad. So it's a big hassle, and I'm doing this for the love of the sport. I don't want to harm any of these fish, especially the bigger ones that are going to have more viable reproductive success.
100%. I get behind that completely. And like now with the tools that are out there for being able to get like quality measurements on the go, like smartphones and, you know, the variety of measuring boards that are out there and everything. And Massachusetts is actually, they do a really, really great job because like I've submitted fish before where like I have had, oh man, what was it? My first 22-inch largemouth, the very first pin I ever won. I didn't have my catch board, but I had like I keep a like a tailor's tape. In the bottom of, and that's used for like girth measurements and stuff. And I laid that down and I just took the measurement as good as it, because I'm kind of a stickler for CPR, you know? So I made sure everything was in place, and they took that submission. I was like, that's awesome. I fully was expecting them to deny it. That's because I've got a background doing like CPR tournaments, and like if they're not right, they will get denied immediately. But they're just, you know, I mean, this was an absolute monster. Plus, I had a scale with me, so I did have the weight measurement to kind of like give a little bit of credibility to it. But I will say, like, where you stand currently? There's 24 species or 23 species?
There's 24 total species, and what I will say is that I am very, very well along. I don't want to give the exact number because if it comes down to it at the very end with my competitor, I need every single edge I can get.
Of course.
I mean, the kid is definitely no joke for winning it 7 times consistently. You know, he's got to have a pretty set pattern. For this being my first time trying to like really set out and do it, because I've submitted pins before, but it's always kind of been for fun. I just love fishing for the heck of it. I've never taken it to like a serious level or really tried. And I will say the amount of bodies of water that you have to learn, try, error, just you're moving around a lot. And I think once you do it once or twice, you get a pretty good fundamental idea of how you can catch majority of the species. And then it's just putting the time in for the really hard ones.
Yeah, that like you nailed it. You said it. So I'm gonna give you. So I have this. I consider myself to be a multi-species angler. I think more anglers should consider themselves a multi-species angler. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background history of jigs and bigs and multi-species fishing, because we very much come across as a bass-centric. You know, that's just because that's the method that I like to fish. A lot of artificials, a lot of moving baits, a lot of power fishing, but really, I have a huge appreciation. So when the show started, we got lined up with another company that wanted to do, this is all during the pandemic, and they wanted to do like a scavenger hunt of multi-species. And we took it and kind of really, they were including saltwater, and it was very cool, but it was like a lot of the people that were involved, they didn't have access to some of these fish. So we kind of streamlined it a little bit more, and we made it our own, and we stripped it down to, I think we had like 24 species, but these are the most popular sport fish around the entire, like the lower 48. So like you could access them within a few hours of wherever you lived most of the time. Nobody had ever won, like, because flathead catfish were on there. Up here we don't have those. We're not going to come across those. We have both snakehead on there too, and like there's certain areas of the country you're just not going to find those. So nobody ever really was able to come really close to the 24. We liked it that way. One thing that I always used to say on the show to try to inspire people to like get out of the little box of like focusing on the couple of species, if more than one, that they put value on, was to know the body of water, know the fish population, go there and fish. And maybe consider downsizing to give yourself the opportunity to catch a wider variety of fish. Because you've got a background in like the science of aquatic creatures. Am I a moron for making that statement? I'm just curious.
No, it's actually a really, really big advantage. Mm-hmm. So I went to the University of New England. I have my bachelor's degree in marine biology. And although the school is really like focused on background science, I had to take like a lot of like extra chemistry and other classes.
Yeah.
They did have a few, like the biology of fishes and the biology of sharks, that although don't help you exactly for like every individual species, gives you a very strong understanding of the biology for how sharks and fish work.
Yep.
And knowing a lot of those different like adaptations, and then just putting like how much I like love to study and observe the different species on my own time, it gives me a pretty good edge. Like for one of them, I'll talk about that I just recently posted, the walleye. I was like really like obsessed trying to figure out like different key details to catch that one, because two fish in the state that I had never caught or even known were in Massachusetts was the walleye and the bowfin. So I put a little extra time into diving into them. And when I took the biology of fish course, I remembered specifically about the pigments in the eyes, because fish are made up of rods and cones, and depending on which species, you can have a lot of different like eyesight capability for timing a day to catch them. And the walleye, one of the most fascinating things about them is they have a specialized pigment called the tapetum lucidium, which is why I like to call them special ops perch, because they're in the same family, but they're basically like all shaded out and have night vision. More or less is the way it works with them. And so knowing that, I was like, if I'm going to get one of these, it has to be early on in the springtime. And I really need it to be like either like nighttime, dawn, dusk, or an overcast day, because to catch them in the mid heat of like, even start early spring, it's just so unlikely. And I read this book on an old angler who was kind of like around like the New England area. I try to stick to like more like old classic fashion stuff. I think the tips are better than what you'll find from like AI and stuff online.
Oh, definitely.
These days. And this guy had like a lot of unique tips and tricks. And he told me from the thing, he's like, all right, like knowing that pigment, right? Something that glows is going to give you a big advantage because it just like strikes them. So same thing I do with lake trout. I use a lot of UV practices. Like one of my buddies from the channel Bend It Fishing, he makes a lot of his like own like soft plastics and stuff. And they're all very super strong UV, and they give you jig heads. And so I've been using UV ever since he put me on to that kind of stuff. And for the walleye, all I did was took one of the glow in the dark jig heads, a curly tail, and this allowed me to target like 4 species at once. So I went to the right area that I thought was going to have one, because after they're done spawning, they move out into shallow weed flats, and it's usually around like island peninsulas. So I just casted the curly tail over and over, and sure enough, I got a 26-inch monster. I couldn't believe it. I mean, like I've caught some walleye out west in Wisconsin, but none of them were ever big. And the fact that the biggest one I ever caught was in Massachusetts, I was just beyond ecstatic, because
that's crazy.
I had multiple nights this year where I was trying along different sections of the Kinnick River where I literally just pull all-nighters, staying out there overnight with shiners and stuff. Could never get one. And I started looking into those techniques, and sure enough, it worked.
It's interesting because like we've talked with a lot of like Midwestern anglers and stuff, and some content creators before, and I've heard that about UV baits specifically, and the difference is that walleye and I think saugeye are very similar in the same way, or sauger rather, where they have, their vision is built a little bit different, and they react differently. So just anything that's going to catch literally catch their eye is going to get munched. And, you know, in Massachusetts, walleye is not one of those species that we run into very often,
It's one of the harder ones up there, just because you can only find it in the one body of water. Right. Like that's what makes a few of them really, really difficult. I'd think going back into it next year, I'd say with confidence, I could catch 20 of the 24 species, but those last 4 are a wild card no matter what you do.
No kidding. Yeah. I think if I'm not mistaken, one of the things that I've heard a lot is that one of the species that's the biggest challenge right now is the tiger muskie, because like the last stocking was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is the one that I have spent the most time about. I have been thinking about this fish actually probably since the end of February.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the only things that's been on my mind most nights before I go to bed. And I've been watching a whole bunch of different podcasts to try and learn like how their behavior is, because they do a whole bunch of studies out on like the Great Lakes and whatnot for behavior research. So they use these acoustic telemetry devices and they tag muskies, and it'll give you a whole bunch of behavior data. And what that allows me to kind of analyze, okay, like you learn these fish are actually really habitual. So they stick to the same patterns, especially the big ones. When you start getting into bigger fish, they're such an apex predator that their territory, unless they're caught or removed, stays their territory. Yeah. And they have their daily like hangout grounds, and then they have their feeding grounds that they move into. And so then you have to apply that to Massachusetts, which is now we're talking about a crossbreed. So they have a little bit of a different behavior. Muskie on average tend to be more aggressive and on the prowl. Pike are more of the ambush predators. And don't get me wrong, they're both ambush, but pike typically just they find to be lazier. So they're more like sitting, waiting, and then lunging for stuff.
Sure.
And so where in Massachusetts can you find this fish, and how are you going to get them to behave the way you want?
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique challenge. You're correct in saying the stocking was a long time ago. The last time was 2015, and they only put 900 fish in between, I think it was 5 bodies of water.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that small of an amount.
Yes. So we're talking less than probably 5 to 10 that I would still think are alive. Muskie on average live between like 10 and 12 years, sometimes 15 if you're very lucky.
Yeah.
So any that are left are on the complete end of their lifespan. And that's not including like how much fishing pressure these fish have had, what body of water they put them in. Because I was talking to some people from the head of the state trying to figure out like, why haven't we stocked these fish in so long? And it's just because they haven't done well. A lot of them had died off. They like to use muskie instead of putting like pike or tiger muskie instead of pike or muskie in other places because you can control the population. They're sterile fish.
Yeah.
So the state loves taking advantage of that. But if they haven't put any in 2015, I mean, if I am to catch one, it'll be the greatest catch of my entire life. And
100%.
I don't think I could ever get as much excitement from anything else as I will if I catch it.
I definitely could understand that. So I was doing a little bit of looking too, and I got to give a little bit of props because I've seen this name a lot on the records list for Massachusetts. David DeSimone.
Yes,
he was he's from Amherst, Mass. He's in 2021. He caught all of the listed eligible species on that list. At the time, it was 22, and I think they added the white sucker and the bowfin. Were those the two that they added?
I'm not sure from the history from prior, but
it was the fall fish. It was the fall fish. I'm
fall fish. Yeah. He has, I believe, 6 of the Massachusetts state records.
That's
and I think
crazy.
he caught them all in that 1 year, which is pretty absurd.
Yeah.
I reached out to him on Facebook. I never heard back, but I was trying to see if I could learn some stuff from him starting out too.
I think you got the right idea. You know, I mean, you've definitely got like the background. You're putting the research in, putting the work in, but also like, you know, some of the, and you got to look at the two also, like what was going on at that time. I think the competition in 2020, 2021 was a lot wilder than it is now because you had the pandemic and you had folks that had access to be able to fish that often, which is really kind of like what it takes to kind of get out there. And, you know, just being on the water in those right bodies of water is a huge, huge deal. So we obviously don't want to, you know, let anybody know where you're at right now, but I'm going to assume you're doing all right because you seem pretty fired up in your videos for sure. Let's get into the history of Kai as an angler, because you're probably one of like the fishiest folks we've had on the show in a while that's from the Bay State. Where did all this come from? Walk us through that story.
Doubt it. So I grew up on 2 bodies of water. There's Little Speck, which is right behind my house, and then there's Big Spectacle Pond. And so I've started fishing, I think, since I was 3. And my father, believe it or not, he like almost like doesn't fish, but he used to take me out a fair bit. So I kind of got like the hang of things growing up. And then my neighbor across the street as well, he would teach me different techniques and whatnot. And when I was 7, he passed and he gave me like all of his tackle and rods and reels.
Oh, wow.
The wife gave me that. And since then, like, I just became so obsessed. It's kind of crazy.
That's
like,
awesome.
I never stopped. And so I've been really, really good at like figuring out like what lives around here, like bass, perch, and then trout was like my first like true, I think really like obsession. Like once I started learning about like trolling and lead core and downriggers.
Yep.
I mean, I think I started getting into that when I was probably like 14 years old, 15 years old. Yeah. But I've been fishing since I can remember, and it's just always been like my favorite like pastime and stuff. I played sports and other stuff growing up, but nothing compares to kind of like the way my mind works around this.
Yep.
I'm very, very analytical of it. In college, in fact, I did a study on lake trout for 2 years. I analyzed the age and growth of fish. You can remove these special things called otoliths in the fish's inner ear stone, and you take that out, cut it in half, put it in epoxy, and it works like rings of a tree. And so that was one of my more like really like obsessive times, I think, digging into it. But just the more you spend out here, like you can pay attention to so much that so many people just overlook when you're out on the water.
Yeah.
And to me, like those are the little details that I go crazy for, because it can just make you become so much of a better angler.
Yeah, it makes
and no
a
one
difference.
else to like analyze those kind of little details.
No, definitely. Do you have like a favorite, like a top 5 species that you're just like, these are always going to have my heart?
Well, I think I'm really starting to like love the northern pike more so now, because I hadn't fished for them a ton the past few years, and this year and last year I got my personal best up at Sebago. Man, I got a 41.5-inch northern pike.
Man. That's awesome.
So that was awesome. Just throwing like big soft plastics. And this year I've really cracked the code trying to hunt the tiger muskie. I've probably caught like over 30 to 40 pike at this point this season, with my biggest being 38 inches so far from Mass.
So I'm glad you mentioned pike specifically, because I had some questions about targeting pike specifically. I've got some big gear that I had a company reach out to me, and they're like, oh, we want you to try out this reel. And I'm like, this is much larger than, like, I love to dabble in everything. I dabble in bait finesse. I dabble a little bit here and there. I fly fished a little bit. About the only thing I really don't really care about a whole lot is ice fishing, just because I would rather travel, and we'll talk about that too, because it seems like you've done a lot of traveling. But I would like, I'm in Massachusetts. I've got to put together a video targeting. I'm on a quest for a 40-inch pike. There's a couple bodies of water that I'm looking at. One of them is up in the Berkshires. It's a lake. I know that there's a good pike population. When we would do the scavenger hunt, I would often go there for pike. But one of the places that I fish regularly, because I'm actually, once we're done this interview, I'm going up to Oxbow right now. It's 10 minutes away from me. So I fish the Connecticut River all the time. I bought my boat because it lends itself to that style of body of water where it pays to be nimble, So I'll be out there and I'm going to be looking for a 40. What should I be targeting as far as I've heard shallow weeds and everything, and I've got some big inline spinners, and I've got some huge I say soft plastics, but like 18-inch soft plastic, like ribbon tails. What should I be focusing on and like to get those bites?
So this time of year, it is a bit different. Like seasonally is what you really got to pay attention to. In the springtime, the pike spawn. So they're in that shallower, like 5 to like maybe like 10 feet of water. It's easier to catch them casting into the weed beds on drop-offs around peninsulas. I actually targeted the walleye, bowfin, pike, and perch, all using just that jig head with the curly tail. That was like one of my little things. Pike really like aggressive strikes, and they don't always necessarily have to have big baits. Like as a general rule of thumb, big baits do catch big fish, no doubt about it. But like a lot of the ones I was catching, at least early on, trying for my pin, was on the curly tail. I actually had one completely bend one of my hooks straight. I never got to see the fish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like the Connecticut River is loaded with them, but I've had more success recently into the ponds. The river,
really,
depending on how high or low it can be, is difficult. But I mean, ponds have been my specialty. And right now the water is really warm. I mean, we got those past 2 days we got dumped on with the rain. So you got a bit of a cool down.
Yep.
And it made the fishing pretty bad for me yesterday. I was trying the river and like I could barely get like any bites. It was a shame because the water was just so high. Usually you get a little rain, murky water stirs up the insects and stuff, and fishing can be good.
Sure.
We got too much. So it puts them in a lull because of the pressure. But today, right now, we're starting to have the pressure actually kind of be back on the climb.
Yep.
It's nice out. And so these fish are going to be sitting deep. So if you're going to fish somewhere like that, like I'd be willing to bet you that all the pike are in 15 to 20 feet of water right now.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
They're definitely on the deeper end. And if you don't want to use live bait, which is what I've been preferring lately, at least my favorite lure to catch pike of all time for throwing is the bulldog.
That's what
preferably blue and white. Yeah. You don't want the super large ones, but the blue and the white one, I think it's probably like the 8-inch lure, I believe.
Oh, all right. Okay.
That's my go-to. That's what I got my 41 on back last October.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, towards the end of the season, it'll be easier to catch them on big, like bulldogs and stuff like that as it gets cooler. But right now, it's going to be hard to try and catch them on soft plastics unless you have like a pretty good sonar, because they're going to be sitting on the bottom being lazy,
super lazy,
scouring around trying to pick on stuff, at least the big ones.
Yep.
The small ones are pretty active. I went to Anoda a few weeks ago casting the bulldogs and the weed edges. If you went somewhere like there, you'd probably kill them.
That's the lake I was talking about. That's up there, yeah.
Yes.
And it's
like if
funny.
You want a 40, that's where to go.
It's funny because like you mentioned like, you know, the soft plastics and everything. I was fishing there with a longtime listener of this show, Topless Timmy Jakes. Great guy. We were out fishing this ledge, and it didn't make any sense for this pike to be there to us at the time, but after hearing you say that, because it was about this time of year and it was about that depth, like 20, 25 feet, something like that, and he was throwing out a drop shot, and I think I had just put like a brown trout in the boat on a like a flatworm or something super small, like a 3-inch flatworm or something like that, and he hooks into a giant, I think this is like a 30-inch northern, and he's like, what the hell was this thing even doing here? There's no grass in sight. It doesn't make any sense, because again, like, we're bass guys, you know. It's like we have the understanding that we have, and sometimes we put ourselves in this little box. And it's interesting because, like, yeah, small baits definitely catch big fish. The challenge that I have is I've got to catch this on a 400 reel, so that's why I've got to throw big stuff, you know. And I'm like,
well, the big baits will still definitely work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. It's just you're better off probably jigging them right now than you are casting.
Okay.
At least depending where. Like if you do try a Noda, the weed beds there's a lot. I don't think you'll catch a big one shallow now.
No, probably not.
But I mean, I caught a whole bunch just casting, and there I was actually using the orange bulldog. Seemed to work better than the blue. Water visibility makes a big difference on that as well.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Like, for what color I like to throw, I think the day, right? So like, what's your weather looking like?
Yep.
The watercolor and the main forage are the three things that I try to put together, because if you can follow that anywhere, you've got a recipe to catch fish. And so for somewhere like Anoda, it's actually like relatively clean, but it's also murky depending on what part of the lake you're in.
Exactly.
It can be very, very deep clear water, or it can be like a swamp with stumps.
That place does fish like it's two totally different bodies of water. From one
and
end
I've
to
only
the
ever
other.
fished it twice, like 2 times in my whole life, because it's so far from me. It's like 2+ hours to get out there, especially if I'm trying to tow the boat. And for the second time that I had gone there this year, I caught my first hybrid in mass that's naturally occurring. I caught a tiger pickerel, which was very, very cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, I knew when I pulled it up because I saw the stripes in the back. I'm like, what is going on here? Like for a second, I was like, is this going to be the muskie? But I'm like, it's way too small. So that's what made me like rethink. And then I saw it, and it had like some of the patches like a pike would have, because they're more the spots than like that chain link.
Yep.
But a distinct thing for pickerel, and people always mix them up. No pike is ever going to have a vertical black line underneath their eye.
Yeah.
That is the key characteristic that's going to be your giveaway. And this fish had like stripes, spots, and the black line. I'm like, oh my God, like it's not like a normal, it's actually like a hybrid. So it was just so cool to catch that. I think it might be rarer than one of the usual fish you're going to catch.
For sure.
It's not even on the list for pins. So to me, to get like the extras like that, it's pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool, man. They should do bonus points for that. You know?
Yeah, I've got a few species that aren't even on the list this year in Massachusetts. I got that one. I caught the gizzard shad, which is not one that usually bites anything. I caught that on a grub and curly tail too on accident in the Connecticut River.
Oh yeah,
it was very, very weird that I hooked that.
It is strange that they wouldn't include that on there because it's migratory and it comes up through the Connecticut, you know, and then they die and then smell.
Right, and this time they just don't want you targeting. Like, there's a lot of regulations around like the bait fish that move in and out.
Oh yeah,
and so I think that's the main purpose, right? Because for the shad, it's the American shad is the one they have you target with like the spet limits. But then the hickory is the one that's like almost like endangered. If you catch that, they want you throwing that back like immediately.
Yeah,
you should get that for bycatch.
What's your now? Like we mentioned, species that aren't on there, like sturgeon, not on there. Massachusetts has very, very strict rules with handling sturgeon. Like release them immediately. Don't take them out of the water. I've heard from some folks that they say that they're starting to come back, and I feel in the last couple of years specifically, I've seen more sturgeon hitting the surface, like in the Connecticut River in certain spots and everything. Have you run into that?
So I wouldn't say in the Connecticut I have had that, because besides from this year, I've like maybe fished it like 2 times. I tried there last summer for walleye and we got like one tiny one jigging in super deep water.
Yep.
But I haven't fished it all that much until this year. I have accidentally hooked into a really big sturgeon once in the Merrimack. I was jigging sabikis trying to catch mackerel, and I accidentally got one in the bottom that was like 5 feet. I ran back and forth in the wall probably for like an hour plus trying to like get the thing, just because like I didn't want to leave any hooks in the thing. So I was hoping to try and get it. I got to the point where I actually dove off of the wall and swam and like got to him because he almost spooled me completely for what I had. And it just snapped at the end of it.
That's dedication. I was gonna say I was on the boat with my daughter. We were up of pretty far up on the Connecticut River, and we were just fishing for smallies and having a great time. And we had this one probably about like 5 foot or so hit the water, like just hit the surface and come out. She turns around, she's like, "What the frick was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was a sturgeon. That's like a dinosaur." Literally, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just miraculous animals. I don't know that I would have that level of dedication that you've got, but I definitely can understand, like, you don't want to leave hooks in their mouths or anything like that. Try and get back.
I'm a bit of a psycho in those regards to like how far I'll go with a lot of these. I grew up watching Jeremy Wade. It was like kind of my like true like icon. And that's why I started the YouTube after I graduated, because like ideally I want to be just like him one day with like all the film and stuff. My plan after this competition, I'll be going back to Florida for the winter time. And then me and my friend from down there that I do shark fishing with a lot.
Oh, all right.
Our plan is to try and do like a cross country trip of like all the major lakes in the country. So who knows, maybe after this I can do your 24 species challenge and see if I can make that happen as well.
For sure, man. So listen, while we're on the topic of travel, like I've seen you've got stuff really all over the East Coast. And I've seen a few, like you mentioned, like you go out to the Midwest and everything like that. Is there like a target of like destination spots that you haven't fished yet that you're looking forward to?
There is a whole bunch for sure. So I have a few friends from college that kind of live out in like Chicago and Wisconsin.
Yep.
So that's why I get some access to the Great Lakes out there. And I definitely want to just do more fishing out that way in general, because the Great Lakes hold so many species. Another body of water that's actually really close to me that I've like never got to take a big boat on is Champlain. They have like over 100 species in Vermont, and it's not that far. So I think it would be so cool to actually get out there and try some of those. But like I'm going to look into all 50 of the states and which ones can kind of hold the crazier species, and I want to target them. Like snakehead is another species that I love. I caught my first one, the bullseye snakehead in Florida, and that's one of the smaller of the species you can catch. The northern snakehead are a lot more intriguing to me because they're a little bigger, and if that fish had that much power, I can't imagine what the big ones do.
The northern, yeah. There was
the northern, and then the giant is one of my like bucket list fish. I gotta go to Thailand for that.
There was a story, I think it was only like a month ago, that had come out where somebody in Rhode Island had a documented northern caught. I forget exactly where, but they listed the pond, and a bunch of our listeners are just like, Bobby, when are you going to come get it? Because I went to Jersey to catch a snakehead, and I think we were out on the water for less than 2 hours, and I was like, bingo, done deal. But that fish, he was only, 17 and a half, 18 inches, something like that, and just straightened out the hook on my chatterbait EVO, like straightened it right out. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Isn't it nuts?
It's crazy.
Power.
And like the only other fish that I can compare it to is a bowfin.
Yes. Actually, that's such an accurate representation, because this is the first one that I had ever caught this year as well. I tried targeting them in Florida, and I didn't have any luck. I mostly catch gar when I was fishing the Everglades, but it was so odd. So for mine, I got really lucky, I will say, trying to catch the bowfin. I also got it on the grub, and in the spring, they tend to be shallow, kind of cruising. They have a lung-like organ, so they can be in like 2 to 5 feet of water most of the time. They like swamps, right? So I saw mine, and I just cast it next to him and kind of bobbed the jig, and he just gulped it. And he sat there for maybe like 20, 30 seconds, didn't move. I had the hook set, and then he just screamed under the boat, like it almost took all of my drag. I couldn't believe the immense power. They fight sort of similar to the white catfish, where it's like the head is the majority of the density of the fish, and they just take off with all of that thrust. Because the bowfin, right, what's cool compared to some of the other species too, and this gets a little bit more nerdy with the biology, their caudal fin, which is the back tail fin, is completely rounded on them. So they have an almost anguilliform like motion similar to eels, and all that thrust is generated from the back half of the fish, which allows them to just totally blast forward using the weight of their head. It's very unique.
So it's like having a nitrous tank and like, a Chevy Camaro. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like,
that's crazy.
I thought they're going to be lazy, and it was one of the best fights I've had this year, truly.
Oh yeah. They're unbelievable. I've only caught one. I've tried to target them a bunch, but it's one of those where there's a small pond near us where I've heard that they were stocked in there to control, like someone told me one time they were stocked to control all of the pumpkin seed. And I'm like, I don't necessarily know about that. The guy is a character who fishes around at this pond. He is a card-carrying member of what I call the White Bucket Brigade, so I take everything he says with like a very, very tiny grain of salt. But it was like just a hot summer day, and I was just looking for a bite. I was in my kayak, and I was catching bass up against like the shade lines where the overhanging trees are. And all I was doing was taking a Texas rigged weightless Senko and just flipping it underneath there. And this was on like really finesse gear. And I had been told like, yeah, you're probably going to get into a bowfin on the most unlikely stuff. Like the idea of throwing a frog and catching a bowfin it's totally unnecessary. It can definitely happen, but they'll eat the smallest thing. And they spawn about the same time of year as a lot of other fish do, like in the spring, but they're really protective. And they're really, really protective.
Very, very territorial.
Yeah, and sometimes having like just anything over near them is enough to just set them off. But I happened to catch this one and got it into the net, and it's just thrashing around, and that EWG hook was just absolutely destroyed. For a while, I left it on my dashboard as a little memento. I was like, this thing is absolutely crazy. Just a giant, huge fish.
Well, I'll give you another tip of advice, too, for that. You said it was the chatterbait, I think you said, for that. If you do try a Nota, so I fish with a whole bunch of different friends who do tournaments as well. I do bass tournaments every Wednesday night. At least I try to. And so some of those guys, we would go out there pre-fishing a few weeks back, and he couldn't stop catching pike on the chatterbait, even in the deep water. So it's pretty funny to see that, because he was trying to target like smallmouth, thinking they're going to be hanging out in like the deeper, cooler water.
Sure.
And it was just nonstop pike in like 30 feet.
No kidding. I mean, it's so weird. Although this year I've had conversations like this has been a weird weather year. Like it really has.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't have like good like data to lean on. But if I had to make if I had to make some kind of a guess, I would say like I have had this has been the most wild card year. Like I feel like I can catch fish in like 25 feet of water. Like there's this one reservoir in Connecticut I like to fish quite a bit. And while I might get some kind of a pattern as to like a profile or a color that they're keyed in on, I will be able to catch them in, right at the edge of the bank, and I can catch them in 30 feet of water. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. So for a general kind of thought process for how these fish behave, right? The cooler water species, they try to stay within those limits the best they can. But if you're fishing morning or evening, right, when the sun isn't as strong, the more underlying factor is the bait fish population. Like trout especially, right? Like I've caught lake trout in the morning only on like 97 for the count for my lead core, which is around 15 to like 18 feet. They're actually like pretty shallow, even though in like the peak summer, lakers are in like 100 feet of water in other places. Oh yeah. So if there is a strong number of bait fish brought up, all fish will behave the same way for that. They're keying in, feeding on that, and then going back as it gets unconditionally set for them to live. Yeah. So you just got to kind of think around like where they're going to be, when, and why. And bite windows are one of the most like accurate way to kind of depict which species is where.
I've heard some people mention that, like, but I feel like oftentimes a lot of anglers will key into like one specific variable. For some folks it might be like moon phase. For some folks it might be pressure, as far as watching the barometer. Like I've heard that recently where people say, oh, when it falls under a certain number, that's when you go fishing. Generally I try to look at these and say like they're all part different elements of one working machine, and it's sort of the sum of all of those variables, or those are the results you can come up with. As far as like you were just talking about, how does that weigh in as far as like, I guess like the bite window necessarily, like
okay,
how did you discover this? And
so I'm gonna get really nerdy on you for this one a little bit, but remember how we were talking about earlier about my favorite species? Well, pike is my recent more found one that I love catching, but trout has been really my big obsession for the past like 8 years. Like rainbow trout, lake trout, brown trout, those are kind of the fish that I've like always sought after the most. And when I was doing my study in undergrad and college, I needed to get a certain sample of lake trout to kind of get my evidence that I wanted, and catching them in mass is pretty difficult, especially if you're doing it where I was trying to. And so what I did was for 2 months, I woke up at 5 a.m. every single day and I fished till 9 p.m. like every single day for 2 months to gather the data I did. And so I kept it all logged in a Word document and an Excel spreadsheet. And I logged the time of day, the weather, the color trolling spoons I was using, the barometric pressure. And I think I was logging like length and of the fish as well, and trying to compare all of those together. And you notice a lot of patterns if you actually kind of do like an analysis between the time of day for the rainbows or the lake trout, like specifically. Like the lake trout almost always seem to bite between what I call the prime window, which is 9 to 10 a.m. or 9 to 10 p.m. For some reason, the lake trout absolutely love the 9s. I don't know what it is.
Really?
But that has been a go-to for me. Whereas early morning, like first light, like 5 to 6 o'clock, that is like rainbow haven. You'll catch the highest number of fish in that 1 hour compared to the whole rest of the morning. I can go out and troll and catch like 10 to 15 rainbows in that 1 hour, and then only get like 6 or 7 for the next 5 hours that I fish.
Gotcha.
It's really crazy how that works, but I don't know what it is. If it's like just the first like real peak light and then the true sunset, like at that latest hour, at least for the summertime, that's what I had found. And I think more importantly than anything else, the color and the time of day are the two most important factors.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh. That is interesting, man. It's funny. We've been doing a lot of conversations about specifically, like, we've had a lot of questions come in too regarding color. People say things like, oh yeah, I should throw a red in the spring and I should do this. And, if there's, go on.
Let me correct myself. I didn't mean to talk over you. I was saying, for the color, it directly depends on the weather with it.
Gotcha.
That is the big thing that I kind of missed there is you have to have it lined up, and the pressure always ties in with the weather too. So I don't think you need to know what the pressure is as much as what the weather is going to be.
Gotcha. Yeah. Where it's happening. No, that definitely makes sense. You remind me a lot of one of my former co-hosts, Sean the Fisherman, who kept painfully accurate. So much though that he would put notes on like who he was fishing with in his, because he would have like a Write in the Rain notebook and he would write all the stuff down. He'd run home and pop it all into Excel, and then he would go and I'd like, last year I caught X, number inches of fish, and this was the bait that was performing the best, and I was doing better this many hours within the start of the day versus at night, or when it was raining, these were the baits that were doing the best, like crazy details like that. So I'm definitely used to hearing all this stuff. I for sure like having that information and being able to recall it that you can't put a price on it, yeah. Because we do as anglers, and this is something I talk about all the time. And I know that the most anglers, like we talk on the show, we try to provide tips and everything to get people to have the best experience that they can have. But we also are realistic. We know that people aren't going to take notes that are as in depth as like what you're doing or what Sean was doing. But the reality of it is like we lie to ourselves a lot. We have this idea that like, this is the bait. This is what's going to get bit. It works all the time. There must be no fish here, something like that. And when you look at all of the variables in mind, like yesterday I was just out and I caught. I mean, it was a tough day. It was a grind. I think I was out for about 6 hours, and I fished. I've been trying to get more comfortable with I'm about to upgrade my electronics. I'm trying to develop like a system. So I'm getting more comfortable with like actually using my side scan capability, marking things that seem interesting, taking the time to go back and down scan and look at what that is. Is there something that seems like it might be holding fish? Does it seem like there are fish relating to it? And then I'll go and I'll throw a couple of things at it. Mainly like I'll go, a lot of this has been deep because I'm trying to build more confidence of fishing deeper than 15 feet, trying to get more offshore. And I'll throw a drop shot, and it's, sometimes I'm finding really great success. Yesterday, I couldn't get him to eat it at all, nothing. So I threw a couple of other things at him, and looking at like what the conditions we had, pretty good amount of wind, had some cloud cover. They really weren't chasing like a spinnerbait or a bladed jig or anything like that. At this body of water, I have thrown a paddletail swim bait, which is my confidence bait everywhere. It's absolutely one of my biggest confidence baits. They wouldn't touch it, and I don't throw it here a whole lot because I often find these fish will relate to wood. So I throw another one of my confidence baits, jigs, into all the cover. I couldn't keep this thing out of their mouth. Like wherever I was like, and I caught like smallmouth, largemouth. I'm so close to a crappie that's 14 inches. I'm so close. I have hit 13 3/4 Kai more times.
Where have you tried?
Everywhere.
It's funny. So I also like crappie fishing. They don't fight the best, but it's just something really cool about getting them on like tiny jigs like that. Yeah, they are. And one of my favorite places that I used to go fish from, at least, I always had that problem. Like I would catch a whole lot that were like 12, 13, 13 and a half.
Yeah.
And I won't say on the podcast because I don't want to spot burn anybody, but I can tell you after. There is one place in Massachusetts where catching 15 to 17 inches is easy.
Sure.
And I was just blown away by it because I've tried so many places and you don't get them that big very often. No. And once you crack the code, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, no, it's like this year alone to get that pin, I caught them trolling, jigging, and even just like trying to catch like perch on like other like worm variables.
Gotcha.
And they're not small like at all.
You know what is really kind of been the biggest player for me as far as being able to target multi-species a lot has been using bait finesse. Primarily because like I'm getting older. We're all getting older, but like holding and using a spinning rod all day long kills my carpal tunnel. If I can hold a bait casting reel, it is so much more comfortable. So I got into it because I'm an old fart and I wanted to like not have pain in my wrists and forearms. So I got into it, but I have caught more. I have power fished more crappie than I can. It is so same thing with trout fishing. Same thing with trout fishing. Like I caught a 24-inch brown on essentially
in Mass.
Yeah, in Mass.
That's awesome.
In Springfield.
This was one of those years where they took the breeders and they just released a bunch of them. So I got so lucky. Like in this, I remember this day crazy because I hooked a huge largemouth, played him like an absolute just jackass, and he broke me off. So I retied and I fished the rest of that day, had a great day. And there happened to be this lay down tree that was relatively new. And I just made a cast along one side of it and dragged this. It was this bait from Mule, and it's Mule makes a lot of like really good like ultralight baits and everything. It's basically like a beetle spin. It's just a spinnerbait arm, tiny little thing. We call it the Bronco blade. And I throw this thing out there and I hook into another giant. And I'm immediately like, I'm not messing this up. And I'm thinking maybe it's another bass. This thing was enormous. Like it covered the outside edges of it was an absolute slob. And I released it and my dad was like, you should have kept it. I was like, Dad, that thing would have tasted like the kitchen sink. No, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go. It's spawned enough. That's fine. Yeah, it's been a major player. Like and there's a couple bodies of water that I like to call my multi-species, like Golden Corral. There's one of them, like again on Bait Finesse, 27-inch chain pickerel.
That's big. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That is a pickerel.
So good, and it's just like it's a blast. We really tried for a lot of years to make multi-species fishing sexy, and we're like this year we're just like we're looking at because we do online tournaments. And we do this bass slot limit series where you can catch anything 12 to 17 inch. And of course, you get people down in Florida. They're like, all I catch are 18 plus. And I'm like, right. But, it's just a way to even the playing field and people can do this for like a day and have a good time. But then we just launched this team tournament and we're going region by region. And actually next month we launched the Texas region. And there's like 15 teams already signed in.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. As far as being out that way, all the bass are monstrous in Texas. Yeah. That's like you might actually have averages of 18.
It is a possibility, but it's just nuts. I'm like, this is bananas to see how this works. But this year we decided to pull the plug on the multi-species scavenger hunt. And
that's very cool. I mean, I think, for me getting into this too, like I've always loved catching different species growing up more so. Like I always never got the hate on pickerel. Until this year, actually, I finally understand why it's so hated. Because, like, to me, it's like, okay, they're slimy, they got teeth, but like they fight way better than most of the bass that I catch.
Super fun, yeah.
Unless it's like a tank, they really are. And so I targeted them a lot of my time in my adolescence. And this year in particular, since I started doing the bass tournaments because I never have before, I see why they're disliked. And it's just because like you can have such a good fight, get a huge fish, but then it doesn't count for anything when you're out in the middle of the tournament. Yeah. And so I think that's why they get the hate. But if you're not doing like the bass tournament and stuff like that, I mean, like I respect the pickerel a lot. I think they're a really, really cool fish. And so I think it's a shame that just because they are a little bit slimy and smelly, they get such a bad rep. They're really a great fish.
That co-host I mentioned, Sean the Fisherman, for a while, he was a tournament director of a kayak fishing trail in Massachusetts. And what he did was he called it the toothy bastard lunker. So if you were catching,
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So like if you pay like an extra $10 and if you got the biggest chain pickerel or the biggest pike, whatever was in that body of water, you won a lunker prize for it. I'm like, that's innovative thinking right there.
Yeah.
Put a little value.
Really cool.
And I will say like pickerel. So that it was actually that trip I was in Jersey for the snakehead. We were in the Pinelands, like southern Jersey. Totally crazy place of Jersey. It's almost like down south. It's a totally different part of the state. And we were camping near this like liquor store. And we had gone in to get like more beer or something one night. And we go in and I noticed on the sign there was something that said pickerel tournament. the way they run this, like pickerel in New Jersey are like, you think we have a lot here? It's like it should be the state fish in New Jersey. It really should. They're everywhere. And they run these statewide, and I don't love this idea. It's a catch and kill tournament, and it's statewide. I'm like, that is crazy. So they have like a couple of weigh-in stations, catch and keep. They weigh them all up, and then they do the thing. I'm just like, man, that is crazy. But even with that said, you still catch so many of them everywhere. They love tidal rivers and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame they had to kill them all for that, but definitely it's cool they get that many people involved from the state, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume that there's a lot of people out there, you know, doing these, but I was like, the guy told me, and you could see it on my face. My friend was looking at me and she's like, I'm like, yeah, I was like, I didn't love hearing that. That's not kosher. Cause I figured they used Fishing Chaos or Tourney X, and it was like a catch and release. And they're like, oh, no. It's like live well only, you know, pop them all in here. We weigh them and then boom, I think they donate them. You know, I was like, at least they're doing something good with them. But yeah, that's crazy. I never understood that when folks talk about like chain pickerel. You hear the same thing around here with bowfin. People are like, oh, if you catch them, throw them on the bank. They're eagle food. I'm like, you are crazy, man.
Yeah, especially for that one, because they've been around longer than like almost any of the others. And it's like they're a true native that's just very, very unique. And they are a dinosaur.
Definitely.
So I think it's a shame to kill that fish just because you don't like them, you know?
I agree. If you had to pick like a top 3 favorite spots to fish, we'll do this in 2 categories. We'll do one in New England, and we'll do a top 3 for New England, and then a top 3 of the rest of the country. What would your top 3s look like for that?
Okay, so I guess let's start with the rest of the country. I really like fishing in Florida, like especially. It's more towards, I want to say, what is it though? I think it's the West Coast down there. It's called Lake Ida. All right.
Oh, I've
only been there. Only been there a few times. That's down near like Lauderdale, like almost Miami.
Yep.
But that is one of my new like all-time favorites, at least fishing freshwater down there. I haven't got to do a ton of freshwater. It's more been big like saltwater game. Yeah. But I got the snakehead, peacock bass, clown knife fish, a whole bunch of different cichlids, big largemouth, all within like going like 2 trips. And it was like a good like 3.5 hour drive from where I stay, but it's worth it every time.
No kidding.
Like it was really cool to get those different species. So that's up there for one of them as well. I'd say my second favorite is now the Manitowoc waters in Wisconsin. All right. So that's like a chain of like 10 lakes where I went out, and I specifically went there trying to catch my first muskie this year. I couldn't bring a boat. I flew out to my buddies and we basically went camping around these sets of islands, just in a little canoe, casting big baits. And I didn't have expectations of catching like any like big ones. I just wanted to catch one. That was like the sole goal I wanted to do. I got 2 like almost like back to back. So it was pretty sweet. They weren't giant, but it was very, very cool to see my first ones of those fish.
Oh, definitely.
And the juvenile ones are a lot prettier than the old ones as well.
Yeah.
You get a lot more color. Then third for out of the state, I would have to say probably closer into Maryland and Virginia, the Potomac.
Oh, really?
I got to fish that one time this year, also just in a canoe, and seeing all like the big snakehead, like the variety. You can catch gar, a whole bunch of different type of catfish in there.
Oh yeah.
But I got to see a few of the snakeheads, and it was really sunny, and it just looks like to take a boat there would be a lot of fun, just like casting around, having a good time.
You know,
I think
that is a system that is very accessible for folks in New England. Like it's like a 5-hour ride, you know, to get down there. It's not that bad. I should consider that.
If it wasn't for this competition, I would have been there this year. In fact, this competition's put a big setback for all like the kind of traveling I intended to do this year. But you got to be dedicated if you want to win. Like I don't have any doubt in my mind that if I am going to do it this year, I'm going to have to catch all 24. I think. I do think that I'll have to get all of them, and I mean the lengths that I will go to do it. There's nothing stopping me. I'm going to fish every day down to the wire, down until New Year's Eve if it takes it to get these last couple fish.
Not only would you be doing it, but you'd be the first one to do all 24. That's impressive, dude, if you can pull it off.
I think like I will say, so for the few that I do have left, I'll say 2 of the ones that I do have to catch left are the ones that I'm worrying, and those are going to be my next focus for a while. And then I'll go back and get some of the ones that I think are easier to do after that.
Yep.
The lake trout is my next target. That is going to be my next target. That is probably, aside the tiger muskie, that's the hardest fish to catch in Massachusetts, because a 30-incher is just so hard from this state. I've caught a few that have been that big in Sebago. This summer I got one that was 33 and like pushing almost like 20 pounds.
That's awesome.
And that fish was phenomenal. When I saw it come up for the first time, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Right. And like, that's for up there. But to do that in Mass, it's like, the Wachusett is my least favorite fishery in the state. I know so many people love it. I hate that place. That is my least favorite place to go. It's one of the ones you have to try to do for the Laker. Yeah. And the other one is Quabbin. And like Quabbin, if they didn't have so many strict regulations around it would be a blast. But because there are so many guidelines is what makes it tough. And I'm not talking about like the motors necessarily and like keeping it clean. I think that part's very, very important. You know, I would not want a place like that to get trash. It's absolutely gorgeous. Sure. But for the rental boats, which is how I had been having to go about it, they don't give you longer than 15 feet of a rope for an anchor. Yep. And they changed it this year so that you can't bring your own rope. So having those 2 conditions to try and get, there's a new type of like, I think it's like a mite or like a lice that has been taking over the places, and they can attach to felt and stuff like that. That's why they don't allow you to have carpet on your trailers.
Gotcha.
If that was to latch on to your vessel and get in there, it'd be really bad. So I get why they do it, but it makes it so hard to fish. But the least favorite regulation that I have personally for there is their time slots, right? Like it's because they don't want people going into the restriction sections, but they cut off. You can't fish from 4 to 6 a.m. They only open at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. So you're lucky if you get on the water really by 7 with the lines and everything else. Yeah. And then as it gets later in the season, the latest you can stay to Quabbin is 7. And now it gets cut back half an hour with daylight because they do it an hour before sunset.
That's right.
Right. So you're missing all the prime bite windows. Yep. So you're taking that out of the equation. And then they want you to catch a 30-inch Laker from Mass. And it's like, no wonder there's only a handful that are caught every year.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and it's wild. Like you bring up a really good point. Like you mentioned Quabbin and Wachusett, like both drinking water supplies. It is wild to me, the variance of like the management and the rules and all the regulations for different bodies of water that they are, and the public has no concept. Like where I live in Holyoke, we have a reservoir called Ashley Reservoir, and they are very much like no dogs, no fishing, nothing. Essentially, like if they could just keep people from hiking, they would, you know?
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh yeah, well, people are going to fish and they're going to do whatever. However, a lot of people don't realize that there are other bodies of water that are drinking. What is it? Littleville, right? They have a horsepower.
They have fishing though. I think I've actually done tournaments there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have I think it's what was their horsepower? Is it 25? I don't know if it's 25. Might even be 10. Might even be.
Yeah, 10. I'm not sure, but it definitely is a smaller amount. Oh, yeah. And what a lot of people do for those is you just keep your prop trimmed up and just use the trolling motor if you fish those.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like that's the only time I would use my outboard would be to pull off the trailer and to load it back up. That would be it, you know?
Yeah.
And that is a smaller reservoir as well. But then you get into like Otis. That's a drinking water supply. They have wreck boats on there and jet skis.
Yeah.
But then you cross the border in Connecticut and go to Colebrook, and they have a no human contact with the water rule. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So you can't use a jet ski or have there's no point to put a wake boat if you can't have a water ski or whomever on there. So it was that's where I went for the 4th of July to just kind of hang out. It was absolutely beautiful. For the first 3 or 4 hours, I had the place to myself. It was majestic. There was even a moment where I had a bald eagle flying over me as I was searching for smallies. This was that day where I caught them like on the bank and in like 35 feet of water. Made no sense, but just freaking wild. So with the drinking water supplies, it's nuts. So I definitely feel your pain. I've actually had a good conversation with an EPO because like Wachusett has pretty crazy. Like I went there, I took my buddy took a day off of work. We went there. We're like, yeah, it's April. We'll go. It'll be awesome. And it was like a week before Wachusett opened. And we're like, you got to be shitting me. And I had just caught a small and released them. And I was like, oh, we haven't caught a thing. So I'm going like, my God, probably going to get a ticket in the mail.
Brutal.
Freaking bananas.
I wish for Wachusett, at least, like I was telling the guys from the state too, I think it'd be very cool if they did something like a lottery, kind of like they do for like moose, like hunting, right? Yep. Where you get like a set number of people that can go with a state superficial and go ice fish it or something.
Yes.
If you had like a group of people for that in like the wintertime, I don't think that would cause any problems. The reason they don't want normal people ice fishing that is because they leave trash and propane and everything else out on the ice. But if you got like a set group of people that are dedicated to fishing, trying to go out there, I truly believe one winter the state record would be broken for the lake trout like that.
Oh, it would. Yeah. 100%.
There's so many monsters and there's just such little access. That's the problem.
Yeah. And you got to cast from so you're always looking for like, where is that ledge that's close enough where I can just like whip this far enough out there to get the depth. You know, it's funny that my first laker I ever caught was up there, and it was completely by accident. And there's this one spot where there's like a 45 foot hole, and it's reasonable to be able to cast and get that kind of depth. And I think I was throwing like a 3/4 ounce like rattle trap, big heavy trap, and I was just gonna like drag it and hop it on the bottom and like just, you know, see how that went. And I think it was like my 3rd or 4th cast, and this laker, who's only like 19-inch, something like that, absolutely destroyed the thing, just choked it. And to the point where I was like, I had to bring him with me because that was it. Like, he was not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wasn't planning on taking any fish today. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do this? So I was like, I'm going to have to leave him in the water. So I made a little makeshift stringer and I pegged it into the bank. And I was like, if I come back at the end of the day and he's still there, he's mine. If something else came and grabbed him, it wasn't meant to be. He was there.
Yeah.
He was there. Yeah. And he was delicious. He was absolutely delicious. But I was like,
I will say, for eating fish too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I would say only the reservoirs are some of the places in this state, unfortunately, I would even recommend eating fish.
I agree with you.
It's sad, but like the PFAS levels have gotten so bad in Massachusetts for majority of the bodies of the water that it's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, 100%. And like, you know, there's stocked fish and everything, and those are migratory fish to keep in mind. But like, when you just think about it, like, so everybody's losing their mind right now about like the sewage runoff and everything going on in the Connecticut River. But the general public doesn't understand this, that happens all the time. And the municipalities are, we had a listener, we talked about this one time because like the news had done a story on it. Like it becomes a headline and they're like, millions of gallons of sewage go into the Connecticut River. Oh my God. And everybody gets really upset about it, but nobody does anything. We had a listener reach out and goes, you should see the numbers for Springfield. He goes, because he shared the link. If I can track it down, I'll put the link in the description of this podcast so people can see it. It happens constantly. Every city. It's not like anybody's worse than the other. It's just that the infrastructure is just not prepared. Like, you know, and there's bigger things that have to happen, but people only lose their mind about it the few times a year that like Channel 22 goes and talks about it. It's crazy to me. So yeah, I would not eat fish out of most bodies of water, especially in like in New England where we're at. We've got a lot of these old factory towns, mill towns and stuff like that. A lot of damage has been done from when they were in full operation, you know, and they were just not taking care of river systems and stuff. You make a really good point, just for the safety alone. Where are you when it comes to taking fish as far as like bigger fish? I always try to like leave the bigger fish because I look at it like they're going to have more contaminants than the smaller fish will just because of the food chain, the what they're eating.
So for me in general, I have a whole bunch of allergies that makes my life like very difficult.
Yep.
But the only freshwater fish that I ever do eat is salmon. It's only every once in a while just because they have a lot of good health benefits you can get from them as far as vitamins. And I'll take them really only if it's like a really clean basin. Like usually the ones that I've caught and cooked and kept myself have been from Maine. Actually, so like up there, like Moosehead Lake.
Oh, I love Moosehead, man. Oh my God,
that's a place I've like gone camping, caught one, cooked it, and like ate it like right over like the fire, like something like that. Like it's a safe place. I know you can have them, But size-wise, so I don't like to kill any bigger fish, one, because of fecundity. I don't know if you are familiar with the term.
So this is a term in biology that basically means as a fish gets larger and grows, the more viable offspring they can produce. So like, let's say like the Atlantic cod, for example, right? Yep. The bigger they get, the more eggs they can produce and the larger the size of the eggs they produce. So that applies to a whole bunch of species that do lay eggs, and that means those bigger ones is why they set those restrictions, like the striper, right? Your slot size, I think, is between, God, it's like 28 and like 32, 31 right now.
Okay.
It keeps continuously changing because they have to protect and decide what it is based off the population counts they get every year.
Yep.
But that is because if you take the ones that are larger than that and you kill those are the breeders that are going to give you the larger fish faster.
Yep.
So that is why they have that regulation set.
That definitely makes sense. And, you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, we talk all the time and joke a little bit too about, you know, the number one way to, like, if you're a content creator, the number one way to, like, really get some engagement in the comments is to just, like, keep a bass. Just like, that's the number one way. If you need a video to just go, just keep one. Just one.
Yeah, well, the sad part that I've learned, at least like for social media, is like rage bait works better for views than anything else, and it's horrible. Like because the first video that I did that went like super viral was my stingray clip. Okay, and so for sharks, when I'm going down in Florida, what we do is we harvest these stingrays, and the first thing you want to do when you get them on the boat is you have to clip off the barb because you won't be paying attention, and then the next thing you know, the barb goes through someone's ankle. It happened to one of my buddies.
Oh, really?
You do not. Yeah, it was brutal. You don't want that to happen. So we clip them, and my buddy like had made like a Steve Irwin like joke like when I had like the short, and it went to like 13.8 million views. I think over. Right?
Okay, so
like
really viral.
It just like blew up. Like it didn't gain me any followers because like everyone was just like pissed about it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It'll do good for views, but it won't get you attention. And then when I started doing this series, at least, you know, I'm helping people. It's informative, right? It's a good series to follow on. People like to pay attention to that. That's what's got me the views, and that's what's getting people to follow along in my journey.
Sure. For sure. No, that's the thing. But it's wild. It's like, you know, we've talked with folks from the tournament aspect. Like we've had the conversation about tournaments when it comes to, you know, even let's take a look at it from like a more of a real old school approach. Like one of the things our show constantly is griping about is the old school ice fishing derbies. And a lot of people don't realize this, but like the difference between a tournament and a derby, from what I understand, is that traditionally a derby, all those fish are killed. So like an ice derby, they'll take like the biggest fish and they nail it to a board, you know, and I think there's still some organizations locally that run derbies like that. And then in the spring, you end up with like all of this, like, you're like, oh, the fishing sucks. What's going on? And it takes so long for that population to start building up again of those fish. So, like, we complain about that quite a bit. We're always kind of talking about, like, this is another conversation that came up. We discussed the idea of, like MLF, if you have to do a weight-based tournament, MLF kind of has it dialed. You know, weigh it right on the boat, immediately release. That fish goes back to the area of the lake where it was caught. Like, it's probably the best thing that you could do. But I'm a big proponent of, like, catch, photo, release is the future, you know?
I 100% agree. Yeah. I think it's really, really good. The only thing that's going to be a problem eventually is AI. I'm hoping that they have softwares that can prevent that, because a lot of people in my comments have been making jokes. It's like, I'm just going to beat you by submitting all AI fish right now. And I'm like, that's not going to work.
So
but
the apps are already set up for that. Like already set up for that. Like some of these apps, like we use Fishing Chaos, and Fishing Chaos already is like so far ahead of the curve with, like, you know, in order to like really like clear a fish, there's so many different parameters that you can use to track. And it all ends up, it's all up to the judge at that time, whoever's judging those fish. But it's like, you know, the detection is like, even on Instagram, like I made the interview I did with Brian Bird from World Bass Enterprises. I was like just being lazy, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna just take this picture. I'm gonna have ChatGPT generate some artwork for this, and just get it done. I had a lot going on, so I used that and I posted it, and Instagram itself will detect that it's AI. Even though I downloaded it and then uploaded it again from my so they immediately detected it. And then I went to make WBE a collaborator, and they're like, yeah, we're just, we've gotten some blowback from some sponsors, so we're not going to allow any collaborations with anything that's AI generated or anything. I was like, I get it, but like the technology is already there. So people like to talk about AI in fishing, and I think that it's not I don't think it's going to work the way they think it is. Not for a long time.
I just think it's getting scarier and scarier as it's gone on. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and it blows my mind, like the folks that look to AI thinking that it's gospel for like fishing spots, oh, this is the hot spot or something like that. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not one of those haters against technology. Like, one of your big sponsors is FishBrain, right?
Yes, that was my first official sponsor. Dude, yes,
I love FishBrain. I think it's fantastic. I mean, there's the human element of it, where like people will put like they'll enter catches where there are definitely none of those species in that area. But that's the human element. That's like what I call the Facebook factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As far as using the app itself, I mean, it really is
great.
Like, pretty sweet. I love it, and like for this too, it's really helpful because, for people that are actually informed and are posting on that app, it's helped me kind of like narrow down where some of the species have been cut to get closer to them.
Yeah.
So it definitely like is pretty informal. Some people just don't know and they post the stuff on there, and FishBrain's kind of like narrowing down to try and make that better.
Yep.
But I mean, like, I recommend if you're trying to do something like I'm doing, that the premium version is absolutely worth it.
It's 100%. It's really good too. Like when you're traveling and you're just looking at different, because I find the mapping is actually pretty solid. Like if you're looking, you're like, oh yeah, there's a hump here. Like it's actually there. Versus like I've been a Lowrance guy for a number of years, and I don't love CMAP. The more I look into it, so we're making a change there specifically. But like it's not bad when you're looking around, or planning a trip where you're traveling and you're trying to do some map analysis from, your recliner. It's super, super helpful. But yeah, there's one spot specifically where there's a couple of people who have entered pike and into this body of water, and I'm like, there's no pike in there. And then I look up that pond's topo map and population from the state, and nothing's listed in there. So I'm like, interesting. But it's all about the photos, like it's all about the photos. If you look at the photos and pay attention to the details, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Freaking bananas, dude.
You've been asking me all the questions. I got one for you. So what is going to be like your favorite fish to target? What do you want to go after? Because I know you said you were getting into trying to use more sonars and whatnot. And I will say, if you haven't invested in one yet, depending on the species, I highly, highly recommend getting yourself a scope. Like they are.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I would say honestly, my favorite species to target really is that I currently fish for routinely is smallmouth. I love fishing for smallies. Like I love them. They're probably of the bass species. They're my favorite one. They fight like crazy. They're a whole lot of fun. Muskie are on there. In fact, you mentioned Maine. Maine has some pretty decent muskie fishing. Nothing like other parts of the country, but where I could realistically go and drive for a long weekend and camp, like Maine is great for that. So like smallmouth,
really? You can get access that within like a long weekend, you think, to Maine? I mean, I've only seen like some videos of people catching the muskie from Maine, and I thought it was like pretty far north.
Oh, it is, but like I mean, I could drive up, and what I'm. Yeah, I could probably do it within the course.
You're further than me. I would think it would take at least like 10 hours to get to where they are from you.
Maybe, but I'm a psycho, man. I've gone up to Moosehead, and that's what it is. Like,
if you got the dedication, then it's fine. But.
That's the thing. Like, a lot of people complain about traveling to fish. I'm like, nope. I'm bringing my buddy to Arkansas to just try to get him on a double digit. Myself too. I've never caught a double digit bass, but we're fishing Millwood Lake in like the southern western corner of Arkansas. And I guess they're starting a program that's similar to the Texas Lunker Share, where they're registering some of these catches that are above 10 pounds. And I'm like, dude, let's just go, man. This is a trip that, like, there's a lot of reasons we're taking this trip, but it's going to be amazing. I did decide what I'm upgrading my graphs to. I'm going to be putting on Humminbird Explorers. And I'm doing that primarily because of, like, the mapping. The Lake Master maps are awesome. I'm really into them. I'm going to end up with a live scope, but
Garmin's my favorite by far. I've played around with a bunch of them, and like it doesn't compare. I would only really say I use the scope for like jigging fishing. I don't think I would ever really throw it for trying to catch bass and stuff. A lot of people do, and it helps them tremendously. But for me, I like going like old fashioned with it. I don't look at that when I'm bass fishing and whatnot.
I will say I do, one of the other reasons why I want to go with Humminbird is because I will be using Mega 360.
Yes.
And that's because I plan on guiding eventually. So that might be very helpful for the clients to be able to say, like, oh, hey, take a look at this. This is what's surrounding the boat. And, you know, and give them a little bit better of an idea. LiveScope has a learning curve to it that I'm not ready to jump into. Like, I'm just still sort of like grasping. This is why I'm trying to like cram all of this learning about side scan and down scan as much as I can, so that when I have that one boat network on the boat, I can actually utilize these features to make it work out well. But that's ultimately my goal, is like to guide all types of species.
If you have any interest, I'm more than happy to take you out at some point and show you the scope. 100%. I can teach you the whole thing in like a day. It took me a while to get the hang of it in the beginning, but then between a few of my friends that use it originally that put me on to it, I got a few times out there with them, like just seeing like which settings they like to use. Get those set, and like it's very, very beneficial once you have that. And once you have those few basic tricks, which isn't too much time, you can replicate that anywhere. And I think if someone has a live scope, anyone could guide if they understand how it works. With that especially, like it is a true cheat code.
For sure.
And that's I don't like to use it for a ton of them. It's just a few fish.
And I definitely understand why people get like upset about it. You know, I definitely understand. But that's the thing. Throughout history, there's always been something that people have been getting crazy upset about when there's been an advance in technology or anything. And when there's a price tag with it, I get it. It separates the crowd, and it is what it is. Kai, this is awesome. This is a really, really great segment. I would love to have you on the show as you progress and as things are going. Like, check in with us, keep us, you know, whether you call the hotline and leave a message or we schedule another interview like this, I would love to do this again. I do have one final question before we go. Jigs and Bigs is all about fishing stories. So really what I want is two stories. I want like the story, like, and you've got a lot of years to pull from. So if you need a minute to think about it, go ahead. But this is like the time that you were on the water that you're most proud of. It might be a giant, it might be a PB. It might be where like something crazy happened and like you were able to like, it was like the thing you're never, ever going to forget. You know, think about this as like if you're at a party, like or a wedding or something, and you go up to the bar and someone's like, yeah, Kai, so-and-so told me that you fish. What's that story you're going to lead with? The hard one is the story that's the biggest.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, I don't think it's a story that I would go to at like a party because I could get into so much detail for the best one at least. But it would definitely go back to my research on the trout because I discovered something in Massachusetts that probably no one knows about, and it's that there are lake trout in some other bodies of water besides the Wachusett and the Quabbin.
No kidding.
I won't reveal them for the protection of the fish because they would all slaughtered if I were to tell people. But there is another place you can go get them, and that is where I spent my time grinding. And I had no idea if I was actually going to be able to catch it or not because it's as rare to catch them there as probably catching the tiger muskie. It is such a small population, and I spent the entirety of the summer trying to get that data to get the samples that I needed to get, and I did it.
That's amazing, dude.
It's like it took so much like just like nerdy details and science from the log that I was telling you about to make happen, because like if I hadn't had that kind of dedication and passion and like desire to figure out what little things you need to switch to try to replicate to make them bite, like it wouldn't happen. Anyone else could go there and spend years trying to catch them, and I don't think you would unless you know what I do.
No kidding.
Like I had to get so articulate to make it happen, and that's exactly what I plan to do for this muskie.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude. I'm rooting for you, man. I really am. Like, I'm like that kind of like having this level of knowledge and then applying it towards something that is so like, not every angler is going to have the ability to go and do this. Like, it's a dream. If you manage all 24, that's going to be like next level.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, for me, like the knowledge is definitely really helpful, but I think what it is for more than anything else this year is just the drive that I have to be successful in anything. You have to like really dedicate and like want something. And I have never wanted anything more in my entire life to get all 24 of these fish.
Dude, that's
like
awesome.
I will grind until every last second. I mean, there's been so many days this year where I've done like stayed up like 2 days at a time. And like, then I'll go and like most of my days have been anywhere from 8 to 16 hours of fishing.
No kidding.
Since the end of March.
Okay.
So
yeah, so you're putting it in.
Lots and lots and lots of hours. And like, if you know it all and you can replicate it, right? Like the 7-time champ, I'm sure it probably doesn't have to take that much time for him because he knows where to go when he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
But for me, I like having the underdog energy and the challenge, because like, I know the only advantage that I have over this guy is the little bit of background that I have.
Yep.
And that I want it more.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's awesome, man.
I want more. So
do you know if he's out there fishing like and entering fish
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't like doubt it. I mean, he's won that many times in a row, and
why wouldn't you?
I'd be willing to bet you anything that he's gonna finish the year with like 20 to 23 pins. I wouldn't doubt it, because from the records you can see every year he has almost all of them.
That's crazy, man.
So there's no reason it would be any different this time around if he's got like a set pattern.
Yeah,
you know.
That's nuts, man. So what about that epic fail?
I don't know if I have like an epic one, but it's like I've spent so much time on like the water compared to like the average person. You can't even kind of like fathom it. I think some of the like hardest fishing that you have is you learn for these spots, at least for some of these ones, and you don't know if it's going to be a hit or miss, and you just have to dedicate it out there like no matter what. I think I'd say an epic fail that I kind of had that turned into success was the first few times I had tried fishing Lake Winnipesaukee. I think that's a really great learning curve and perspective, because when I was younger, like I didn't have like any of the equipment or the boats or none of that. Like I had to work so hard to save to buy all the stuff that I have. I mean, after I graduated, I worked, and like all the money I've collected again has just gone into this business, as the boats and the cameras and the tack and everything. But before all that, I just had like my knowledge and like how observative I am out on the water. And originally when I gone fishing at Winnipesaukee, all I had was me, my buddy, a canoe, a trolling motor, and 2 batteries. And like being out there in a canoe in Winnipesaukee with all those electronics and boats just whipping by you going like 60 miles an hour when they don't care like at all.
Not at all.
The people out there are like, they're hammered and they're just full blasting like next to you in the canoe. And you're just praying you don't flip or like capsize trying to catch the fish.
Oh, yeah.
And like I had spent so much time trolling to try and get it right to catch like any sort of trout, salmon from there doing that. And like the biggest thing I caught trolling from my canoe was a fall fish.
Oh, no kidding.
Of all things, I have a picture from one back then that I think was like somewhere between like 18 and 20 inches. It was an absolute monster trying to catch salmon. And it's like, you know, I spent all that time that summer, like when I was out there, and couldn't get a single trout or salmon. So I think that was like one of like the harder like pills to swallow. I was like, oh, you put all this time and like this is like the most like janky setup you can possibly have.
Yep.
And once I got my boat and I've perfected the trolling over the past few years, you know, I went out back there last year and I got an episode on it and I was crushing like big rainbows and Lakers and salmon.
That's awesome.
So it's cool to learn from your mistakes for sure. And I think that's one of the ones where it's like, well, it was hard because I really wanted him that summer. I just couldn't get him.
It's so funny, man. Like, to hear you talk about trolling and be so passionate about it. Like, we joke all the time. Like, I've always said, I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, when I get to be like my dad's age, like, trolling's going to be the move. You know, I'll just rig everything, and then, you know, I love my boat. It's great, you know. But and actually, I have a pretty good boat for trolling. I've got a Lund Angler 1650, so it's nimble enough, but it'll definitely do the job. And I'm like, yeah, but that's for like 70-year-old dudes. To hear somebody like your generation talking like so passionately about trolling is kind of refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it kind of is. Because I think like the idea of like trolling big water is just a dream that few bass anglers ever actually talk about. You know, the idea of like going to like a lake the size of like Winnipesaukee or Champlain or something and trolling for like big, you know, moosehead. You know, I mean, come on, trolling for like big salmon and stuff. That I think is the dream up there. Before we wrap up, you mentioned moosehead. This just popped into my mind. What's your opinion on the smallmouth situation in Moosehead?
I probably don't know a ton on it. Up there as size, there's some pigs.
There are the cold water species anglers hate them, and they've been planning like catch and kill tournaments up there. Actually, when did I go up there? Was it 2023? I think it was 2023. I was up there. Myself and a buddy, we went, and there's this. I forget the name of the shop, but we stopped there for like groceries and stuff. And there is like a full outdoors outfitter right in there. So we go in and we're talking, and they're like, yeah, there's a kill order on smallmouth. And I was like, we're not killing them. We're going to catch and release, baby. 100%.
Well, I think I'll say this is what I apply to all fishing in general is usually the problem isn't the ecosystem, it's people.
100%.
I really think that's what it comes down to. And so they set out all these initiatives to try and kill the fish or like restore the fish. But in the first place, these problems only exist in these ecosystems because man interfered somewhere along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the big thing. So the more you tamper with nature, the more it's going to tamper back. And I think that people are getting upset by the results that someone else already caused the problem for you in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Like I generally I find like we're in the situation that we're in, the likelihood, and I've heard people with, you know, like, a biologist in like aquatic studies have said, they're like, the likelihood that you're going to be able to undo it is not there. So let's live with it and improve it any way that we can.
Yeah, that's really, really accurate. Like, I think one of the more like saddening studies I've learned about, at least while I was at school, is the Atlantic cod, because I had to do a big paper and then a presentation. And for that fish, they started off hundreds of years ago just so dominant and large, and we just bashed away at their habitat between dredging and keeping all the fish. And it's like, even like now, like they still try to allow some, but it's very, very small period of time you can keep any and do stuff. But like we damaged their spawning habitat to the point where it's so hard for them to come back. And we've taken so many, like you won't see that size. It plays back into fecundity, right?
Yep.
You had all those monsters, so you got monsters. And now you have small ones, you don't get the monsters. Like, I think it would take a solid decade at this point of people not interfering with like the shoreline and like just no cod being allowed to be even fished for.
Yep.
And I think the population would come back. But the sad part is it won't ever happen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why it's kind of like a given up fishery, and they're switching to try and make people eat like pollock
and haddock and stuff instead.
Yeah, and whitefish and just like there's so much they're trying to switch to instead of just like giving the fish a break.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, no one's thinking down the line. They're thinking of like what's making money right now. And like it sucks to like hear that, but like if people like took that sacrifice now, in the next generations, if they applied the same regulations they have in place now when the population healed itself, the fishery would come back and it would be sustainable.
It'd be super strong at that point. Yeah. No, it makes sense, man.
We won't have a good chance.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy, dude. I appreciate this, Kai. This was actually really, really fantastic. Do everybody a favor. Let folks know where they can best follow you on this journey to catch all 24 of the species on the Massachusetts list. And also, if they have any questions for you, anything, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
So best way to get in touch with me is definitely just to DM me on Instagram. That's gained the biggest following. But I'd say more so than anything, I'd love people to go and subscribe to Kai the Fish Guy on YouTube, because that's where my full episodes are. So you can learn a lot more than just my shorts. I've got a lot of really cool full content on there now. And once this whole competition is over, I'm going to do a full-length episode on all 24 fish as well. So I just haven't got around to the editing. I've been so busy trying to document it as I've gone along. But those are the two big takeaways. I'd say you can see me and message me on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribed. Nice. Awesome, man. This is great. I look forward to continuing the conversation as you get further along in this journey. I wish you the best, dude. And we should definitely get out and fish. I will for sure take a live scope lesson from you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I love it. Thanks so much, man. If you could do me a favor, send me a picture of you just holding a giant, and we'll use it for the artwork on this episode.
Okay. Once you stop streaming, I got one more thing I want to ask you as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, you got it, man. Absolutely. Guys, don't go too far. We got more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom! Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
For the moments that matter, choose Curad Naturals. Infused with aloe vera and vitamin E, Curad Naturals bandages protect your unexpected scrapes, cuts, and burns while also moisturizing your skin. Find deeper relief with natural ingredients you can trust to start the healing. When life's surprises call for the best, choose Curad, a deeper level of care. Shop the full collection on Amazon or visit Curad.com to learn more.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Yep. Keep fooling around with them Bigfoot, man, and there's going to be more burning than just these questions. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's take a listen to the live well here and jump in. We have 3 calls that came in this week. No text this week for anything that we need to cover on the live well, but that's all good. If you guys are interested in hitting up the live well, you have a question for us, you want to share some information, maybe share your own tip or technique or anything like that whatsoever, you can go ahead and call and leave a voicemail or text us on the hotline. The hotline number is 413-324-8519. Any time of day, take that number, put it in your phone, and make sure to engage with us there. It's a whole lot of fun. Also, if you have like an FTG that you want to submit, all that stuff, it's all there for you. Let's dive in with our first call. Our first call comes in from you know him, you love him. It's Eli.
Hey, Eli, with a question for the live well. This question could be answered a million different ways depending on the person, but I'm curious to see your thoughts, what you have to say about this. When you are spinning out, when you are throwing the kitchen sink at them, you're junk fishing, or the game plan that you came in with is just not working, what do you do to kind of reset yourself from not spinning out? Or if you are spinning out, what's the move to rein it back in, to bring it back in? What does that look like for you on the water? Joe, what does that look like for you in tournaments? What does it look like for you fun fishing? Maybe it's different. Just kind of a deep dive into that. And I'm curious to see what you guys' thoughts are on it. Have a great day, boys. See ya.
The timing couldn't be better on this call. This is 100%, I think, and now Eli knows exactly what I'm going to say, is just being adaptable. So I think the thing to avoid from spinning out is to like take 5, step back, take a breath, get your head out of it somehow, because when you're thinking too hard, you can often just push yourself further down that downward spiral,
Sure.
I think the other thing too is that, it never helps, or it never hurts to look back at what you're doing critically and try and connect the dots, like how to pull yourself out of it and make it a positive. Take the information, like what can you confirm? Sometimes you can't confirm anything. Sometimes you're like you said there, you're just junk fishing and nothing is happening. Like maybe you haven't had a single follow, something like that. That would be like a really good time to say like, okay, we're going to idle around. We're going to look at some stuff. I'm going to have a nice ice cold Diet Coke, and we're going to look and we're going to see what we can come up with. I think it's worse in tournaments. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think it's infinitely worse in tournaments when you're out and that I say that like tournaments in any degree, whether it's like the team tournament, like today was a great, this has happened multiple times where it's been the last day of the month. And I'm like, we're in like the bottom couple of rungs of the ladder. I just want to do something to try to help us get above there. I think we finished like 83.5 inches or something like that.
Yeah. That was a tough one.
This was a really, really tough, you know what I mean? I got us to a limit early, but I got us to a limit early with like a bunch of 15s. And Joe, your last couple of fish were really the thing that kind of got us up there. When like a slot is a good example too. Like when I've had plenty of days where, maybe that's why I deal with them as well as I do, because I'm so used to just fucking getting it like literally right up the ass from the slot limit tournament. Like if it's slot day, I am catching either a bunch of 18s or I'm catching a bunch of fucking 11s. Right. It's like, it's just the way it is. And it's fine, What do you think, Joe?
You kind of hitting some of the points that I do. So if it's like that for me, I typically first thing I do is I hit the map and I just start side scanning, just looking for, I usually if I'm shallow, I go deep. If I'm deep, I go shallow, and I usually I chill and just idle around looking at the side scan, see if I see anything, and just take a moment, really. Just take a moment. That's it.
Wolf of Walt, Dave says something here. He goes, smoke weed, Eli. You know what? Dave, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. When you're just fucking losing it, like, and I've talked about the way I play the fish whistle game on my boat. I'm not one of these people that gets on the boat, hits a fish whistle immediately, thinking that it's bringing luck or, it's just getting the mind right for whatever. Instead, I'll only allow myself a rip off of the fish whistle after I've caught some fish. It's like a reward system for me. And it works. But I'm not looking to get like completely stoned on the water either. But I will say that when it's tough, if I've caught like a couple, when it's really, really tough, sometimes that's when I will lean into the fish whistle and just go like, hey, maybe we'll just get our mindset straight a little bit, have some fun. I often say this when people are on the boat with me, because like I listen to music when I fish. I love to listen to music when I fish. And it's generally pretty quiet. Like I'm not out there with like my big Bluetooth speaker, like fucking pumping bass and shit like that. But I'll say this to Paul. I've said it to Dean. I've said it to a bunch of people that have fished with me just this year. I'm like,
hey, should we change the vibe?
Because sometimes I'll get out that morning and I'm like, yeah, it's like a fucking old school outlaw country morning. And it's just not, Other times it's just, I'll throw something on and I'm like, we got to switch it up. I made jokes all last year about how it was like, I when I'm struggling, I put on some Creed. And
the power of Scott Stapp just fills me from within.
Well, the power of Scott Stapp has let me fucking down. Number of times. Shit, fucking listening to Ozzy has not been the move sometimes. You know what I mean? But you change up the vibe, literally, and you can just go from changing your environment and kind of figuring it out. And I've been doing this for a long time. Like, I still have a playlist that I have where it's just like when I have to slow down, I'll put that playlist on. Like, what is this? There's a couple of Led Zeppelin songs, like slow blues Zeppelin songs that are on there. And I'm like, yep, that's the move. Just keep it slow. Shit like that. You know, yeah, I think that's where the whole have a sandwich thing is perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Have a sandwich, have some jerky. Dave says, I go flipping. After about 20 minutes, it's like smoking weed. Dude, you know, it's funny, man. I was flipping today and was flipping a jig, and I'm like, I love this style of fishing. But I know when I get on the water with Holly, and that's like the jam, she's going to fucking hate it. Because it's just like, that looks juicy. And like, once you get the form down and you can do it without blowing your reel up or anything like that, like, once you're doing that, it's okay. But the road to getting there, it can be really monotonous. And it's like, you know, throw on some Mozart and Beethoven and check that vibe. I don't know about that, John. Classical has never been my thing. It really, really hasn't. Now, this is one call that I did listen to in advance. And it gave us one hell of an Easter egg. You guys are going to want to listen in for this. But this is from Ian Jamerson. Check this out.
Yo, what up, Jigheads? Hey, Ian. Just calling into Live Well to get some advice on starting a fishing club. Me and my buddy Jacob, we're both tradesmen. I'm a carpenter. He's a welder. We both work as teachers at Job Corps in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're starting a fishing club with most likely in the works of starting a high school bass team as well. And I was just wondering if you guys had any advice or any tips, jig heads in the comments or anybody. Anything is welcome, for sure. Appreciate any advice. Love y'all. Peace.
So I'm so glad because Ian just jumped in. He is a jig head. Ian jumped in. He says, yo, just got done with our first fishing club meeting. 24 students signed up. That is awesome. Stayed the whole time and learned how to tie their first fishing knot. That is awesome, dude.
That's dope.
It is such an underrated skill for an angler to learn, to be able to like go, and it's the level of self-confidence you get when you tie a legit knot and you're like, oh yeah, I can tie that on and it's not a problem.
He had 24 students sign up.
Amazing.
And they stayed the whole time, like you said. But Ian, I don't think you need our advice. You're doing something.
I think you're on to something. You're definitely.
I don't think you need our advice.
I would say, like, if the goal is to eventually build it into like a high school, like tournament club, something like that, I would say what you're starting with right here is you just got to get those kids like ate up with fishing. So I would say, keep them interested and maybe like fool around with like some stupid like challenges or something like that. Not necessarily like first fish or biggest fish is always a great place to start, but like put like, oh yeah, losers got to eat like these Harry Potter fucking jelly beans or some shit like that. Like make it something that they can relate to like that. Cause if they're into fishing, they're definitely looking up like fishing content and like seeing some of this stuff. So if you give them a little bit of that, that's awesome. He says, first water trips in 3 weeks and they all want to bass fish. Perfect.
Hell yeah.
I think bass are the perfect species to start targeting because they're hardy. They can handle, you know, newbies, like, you know, dealing with them. But they also like, they don't have crazy teeth and they're not super, super tiny with spines like bluegill and shit. So like you can get them confident holding fish. That's a big one. Ian, are you doing, and this is, I joke about this on the show, but you're starting a club. Tell them immediately, do not reach out for free shit from brands, like looking for sponsors. Yep. I would recommend that you guys do that. As the instructors and as the organizers of it. Like if you want to, you know, get some gear, if you're going to work on, I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you want to start teaching them like some power fishing, moving baits, stuff like that. maybe you reach out to somebody who does like bladed jigs or, spinner baits or something like that, or crankbaits or something along those lines. And you get some square bills and you start there, or you get whatever. And then you start there. This is just, it's when the students take it amongst themselves to go and do it. It's like, man, it's crazy. He says, catfish for the kids that want to eat them. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. That is also, if you're doing some catfish stuff, I would look into making like bait. That's something that you could definitely do. Like, especially if it's like a rainy day and you can't get out, and you're not necessarily on the water, like look up some recipes for like making bait, something like that. Yep. Even better, take them out bluegill fishing. Catch a bunch of bluegills, cut them up, put them in like a jar, close it up, leave it in the sun. Go fishing that night. Or even better, the next night. Stanky, my friend. But those catfish will eat it. They will eat it. He says, oh yeah, brother, all they got to do is show up. Me and Jake handle that. Never mind fish. The wildlife is donating untouched gear on Monday. Oh, shit. Daiwa stuff? Oh, all right.
Hell yeah.
Okay, you guys are doing it right. That's awesome, man. No, I think congrats, dude. I think it's great. And this is awesome because now the listeners get to know that, yeah, it's going on. 24 kids is a really good for your first time out. That's a really, really good showing. And kids these days have a attention span that's just like that. Like, it's even worse than like mine and Joe's generation, Yep. He says, and you just got 24 followers because they all know we're talking about the club tonight. Oh, my God.
Hell yeah.
These are high school kids. Hopefully they have cool parents because this show kind of went in the gutter kind of early, actually, talking about.
Dude, I catch my kids saying worse shit than we say.
Oh, definitely. But, man, I'm always afraid to get that one email or DM.
Oh, I know.
But can you link how to donate to us? Absolutely, man. Send me a link, and if anybody wants to donate, I'll put it on here, and then I'll post it in the Patreon as well. And actually, even better, I'll throw it up on the Jigs and Bigs link list on jigsandbigs.com. We'll go ahead and do that. You know what's going to happen now? There's every single club's going to reach out and go, can you do this? I'm like, I'm doing this because Ian is a jig head.
Yeah,
and he's been around from the beginning. Let's see. Bert says, just after we surpassed 666 followers on YouTube. Yes, we did that, by the way. We're at 667 as of like 2 days ago. I don't know who it was, but he says there are 16 to 24-year-old kids. It's Job Corps. So, yeah, last chance. There we go. Perfect, dude. Last chance high. That's awesome, dude. Oh, man, that's great. The fact that you got them tying knots already. Yep. What were the knots that you were teaching them? Were you just get them started on a Palomar knot? I tend to teach people a Palomar from the beginning because it is very strong, but it's easy to tie. And a lot of people you can tie it quickly. You can tie it in the dark. Like it's one of those that's definitely helpful. So, no, that is freaking awesome though, Ian. I'm stoked. He said 100%. Nice, beautiful. That's the way to do it. All right, so we got one more call this week to jump into here. And Joe, if you had to guess who this next call is from, who would you think it is?
Probably Eli.
Hey boys, it's Eli with the second question for the live all this week. I promise I'll keep it to 2 this week only. But no, I was driving home and thinking about this. This is going to be solely opinion because to compare actual numbers, I think would be dang near impossible. But what do you think makes a bigger impact in 2026? Is a bait getting kind of covered in a podcast or a bait winning a big event in a tournament? I know, again, there's so many different factors in there. The one that I'm thinking of right now is not necessarily a bait, but it's a series, with the last series with Dylan Nutt winning the Classic. I think that obviously that made a huge impact. You can look back at any fire crawl, jackhammer when and Carey won. But then also you go look at like Andrew Hayes when he talks about the minigun on the podcast and how that kind of blew up overnight. Again, this is going to be a based on solely opinion because, again, you're comparing apples to oranges here in terms of besides the companies that those two baits are coming from, you just have such a hard time comparing numbers. So I'm just curious to what you think, your thoughts on what do you think in 2026 makes a bigger impact? Either somebody covering a bait in a podcast that's a well-known podcast, or an Elite Series, MLF, NTFL, any of those big-time series, and somebody winning. Which one do you think has a bigger impact now in 2026? I'd hear your thoughts, Steve Woods.
What do you think, Joe? Where's your head at here? I mean, you came back from ICAST, you know. I mean,
yeah. So it's always going to be the Elite Series. It's always going to the biggest hoopla about baits is it's not even going to be the winner of ICAST. It's always going to be the winner of the Classic every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time. And it's like the minigun got a lot of. So you got to think about this. There's hundreds of different fishing podcasts. You know what I mean? They all don't have the same listeners, whereas all the same people watch the two events. Like even like Red Crest, you don't like the MLF. Like I love the MLF, but very rarely do you see any hype about what a bait that won Red Crest. It's always the bait that won the Classic.
I think there's a little something in there that's not being looked at.
What's that?
Is the fact that a lot of the content, a lot of the media is also going to talk about the baits that won these big tournaments.
Sure.
So it's part of it already. Now, the one thing that I do want to say, and I agree with you, Joe, I 100% think that a big tournament winning on something, especially if it's new, that that people haven't used before, or sometimes it's something like super old. What was that BASS event this spring where it was won on like a grub? I forget who it was.
Yeah, that was. I know what you're talking about. It was a grub, and there was a one with a tube recently too.
Yeah, and it's
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Sometimes, but my thing is like a lot of that stuff is, and this isn't a knock at all, but this is just the industry.
Yeah.
So you've got an angler that uses this product. The first thing that company's going to do is reach out and say, hey, can you say such and such about this product for us, and start putting it on their own social media.
Right.
And then you're going to have people who, even if they've never fished before, are automatically going to make the assumption that if they learn something from a tournament angler, it's proven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's proven versus like, and then there's the advertising that follows that. You know what I mean? Like you get, something that runs, and then on every YouTube video that you watch, whatever product, you're going to see that ad play beforehand, and there's going to be a big push behind it. So I'm with you, Joe. I think 100% like a big tournament win, but man, there's a lot of variables that are in there. Now I will say there is something different. I do think that content, right, has the ability to make something cool and trending that maybe nobody ever even considered before. You know what I mean? I think that I'm trying to think of a good example of this. I guess there's a couple. I mean, I like one of the things that I would think of, and it's not a bait necessarily, slot tech. The slot tech organizers. I know that Slot Tech is busier than fucking ever right now, and it is because of Andrew and Tackle Talk. That like I remember the first go round when I tried to order some to try them out, and they're awesome, by the way. It was like kind of pulling teeth to get them because it was tough. I had to wait until the restock before I was able to get some to try out. So that's definitely something that you have to keep in mind. But also, like, I'll use this as an example. The entire Guggen baits, all of it, Like it was all like social media. It wasn't in stores before. Like when they were first released, those plastics sold out immediately, you know? And that kind of ramped up into a bigger sort of movement in the fishing community. Love it or hate it, you can't deny it, you know? Hold on. Joe is supposed to say be on battle baits, but him and Flint are the same person and they don't talk. So then Dave says, does anybody remember that video of Chuck Berry farting on a hooker? Welcome to Jigs and Bigs college team, kids. And then he says, Bobby's thoughts right now. Dave should never be allowed in the chat again. I'm here for it. But no, yep. I definitely think that they each play their role. But like, you know, for a fact, like when Dylan Nutt won the Classic and it was on those Berkeley lab, like that new line of Berkeley baits, every single YouTuber was talking about them. Like once that buzz hit. So like if you get that win, right, at a big tournament and it was on that bait, it doesn't matter if it's on a podcast or whatever, because it's all one big machine working together. Yeah, it's pretty good. Official CVRLOs. What's going on? Oh, the Weird Bait Club in the house. How we doing, homie? How we doing, bud? Remember, we had Weird Bait on, what was it? I want to say it was in like March or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Very, very good, man. I would say, definitely. I'm with you, Joe, 100%. Like you get somebody who just won a massive tournament, and then think about it. Like you get a noob, somebody who's just getting into it, and they're like, "Oh, I want to get into bass fishing," and they search like best baits. Just the buzz in what's going to show up on Google there. They'll be like, oh, well, the Bassmaster Classic is now like the biggest thing. That was one on this. Or Red Crest, I've heard of that. You know, it's wild, dude. It is just absolutely wild.
Yep.
Freaking nuts, man. Good show this week.
Good show.
I hope you guys like the change up of the format. We're trying to, the whole purpose with this is that what we're trying to do is put some high value immediately at the beginning, because we're really making a push to try to grow the show to a level like we've never ever seen. Get the listenership really, really up there. So we're trying to clean some things up. It's going to take a little bit of work as far as on my end, as far as like executive producing and editing, but we're going to make it happen, dude. It's going to be good. Carlos jumps in, says, also got a bunch of bass on a deep crankbait. See, I got to work on that, man. I really got to work on that. 3.15 largie, not bad, dude. Not bad. Oh, you guys, I hope you have yourself a great one. Just before we wrap up, a little bit of a reminder. Hoodlum Fest is not a public event, but the Hoodlum Fest themed BCRF charity slot limit tournament on August the 8th is, and you should register. Even if you can't fish that day at all, if you register for the derb, you're going to be entered in the raffle. We have some amazing prizes lined up. I'm going to go through the list here just because I think that some of you guys might like to get a little bit of a heads up of what we've got. And there's some that are unconfirmed that we're waiting on. We've got Heat Your Meat's got a couple of prizes that we've got available for you guys. Chill Steel Pipes has an amazing prize lined up for you guys. We've got a prize from AVF Tackle. We've got a prize from Dark Horse Tackle. We've got a company called Wolf Bite Fishing. Nice pack of some of their baits, spinners, jigs, bladed jigs, and a gift card. Like it's really good. We have not one, but two $100 gift cards for her outdoors. So if you are, obviously lady anglers, this is right up your alley, of course. But on top of that, if you're like in the position I was before this summer and you're trying to get your significant other out on the water with you, this might be a nice way to do it. Like, oh, hey, I won this. You can go order some cool shit. Then we've got Feather Outdoors. This is nuts, dude. Cass got in touch with me. 2 rods, a reel, and a bunch of baits in one package.
Jeez.
Like this is nuts. And then we've got this amazing Hinkle knockoff from Sin City Customs and a bunch more. I'm just waiting on confirmation for some of those. In fact, I got to talk to Fishy AF. They were in the comments. They said they want to do something. I'll see them tomorrow. We're going to talk about it.
Yep.
So, Jig Heads, if you're in here right now, next week we're going to have a breakdown of what the Swimbait Farmers Market was all about. We're going to give a little review. I think Joe and I might actually have to do a beer review from Tackle Box. I think it's probably the most fitting beer review we could do.
Probably.
Maybe I'll talk to Dean. Maybe we'll record that at the AVF booth. We'll get a couple of what do you call it? Flights. There we go. Yeah. There it is. We'll get a couple of flights, and then we'll go through and we'll go one by one. We'll give them a scale, a rating 1 to 5. I think that's good. It'll be badass.
Sweet.
I love it. Oh man, hold on. We got some stuff to signing up after the show. Ian says that is awesome. Carlos goes, wait, was I late to the party? Yeah, we generally start rolling at 7 p.m. Eastern, but no worries, man. This link, you can go back and watch the whole thing. That's the beauty about being a jig head. You can go back and watch the entire thing, all of the mess, all of the everything. It's all there for you. We got, let's see, Dave chimes in and goes, Jig Heads, next week, pick your favorite YouTube fishing moment, bring it to the chat. Let's talk about what our motivation for becoming better anglers or degenerates, depending on the clip. I love that. Yes, let's do that. That's a good call to action. Dave, you're fucking all right, man. Nice. John comes in with a tournament update live from the riverbank. He goes, the guy that's in second place just cruised past me 20 yards out in his kayak like a complete dickhead. So much for sportsmanship. You need to tie on a giant sinker and let that bitch sail. Take him out. Take him out. What are you doing, Todd? Todd, happy anniversary, bud. Go enjoy dinner. Enjoy the show later. Bert wants us to review some Miller Lite. Will do, 100%. And Ian chimes in. This is our last one. He goes, I like that, Wolf. Not going to be my students' homework next week. There you go. I like that. You guys have a great one. Thank you so much for checking out the show. We will see you with more Jigs and Bigs goodness next week. You don't want to miss out. And trust me, it's going to be freaking bananas. We got a live show that we're recording too at the Hoodlum Fest event. This is going to be insanity. Buckle up. So yeah, Jig Heads. I think that show, next week's show, you guys might not get live access here. We might not have the federal clearance to be able to give you the live access.
Oh, that's true.
I didn't even think about that. So, Jig Heads, don't worry. We got you. We'll record it and we'll post it to Patreon. So it's not public.
There you go.
Probably get away with that. All right. You guys have a good one. We will see you with more Jigs and Bigs goodness in 7 days. Like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.
To the stories we told, every bite, every miss, every moment on hold. You showed up till then, stayed through it all. Now we're reeling it back as the night starts to fall. Every download, every share, you kept this thing alive out there. This is one last kiss before you go. If you felt this vibe, let the whole world know. Hit that follow, leave the ring, help us grow this thing we create.
jigging out. Jigging out. Jigging out. Jigging out. Ryan is jigging out.